I have a motion moved by John Eccles, seconded by Rob Thompson. Be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session of Council at 7:03 p.m. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. There you go. Okay, matters arising. Mark, just let the minutes note that only those matters that we went into closed session are the only ones discussed. Coming out of closed session, I think there should be just a public awareness that the municipality was served by the East Durham Wind Incorporation in Divisional Court for an application for judicial review. Basically what it comes down to is a review of our bylaw interpretation on our interpretation of our entrance permits and how we interpret those, and on our oversized overload permit, and how we twice we've interpreted them, and it hasn't been basically the way Nextera wanted it, Durham East Wind. So now they want the court to rule in their favor. So they've taken the municipality to court on that, instead of, I guess as we would do in a rural municipality, sit down and talk about it, as looks like we might be doing here tonight in some other fashion. So, with that said, welcome everybody. We do have a public information session tonight. It's not necessarily a public meeting, but a information session on bylaw number 21, 2014. A chance for individuals to ask questions or make statements on that. Bylaw number 21, 2014 is a bylaw from the municipality to enter into a land use agreement on some municipal property with the Durham Lions Club on their proposal to place a gazebo on those lands for summer entertainment, or a small pavilion for summer entertainment activities. So, and I think that's about the gist of it. That's where we're at here, and there's a few people. I know the Lions Club wanted to make a statement on it, Mr. McIntyre, and I could ask for various reasons. Yeah, you used the mic there. Not that your voice wasn't heard by many students, but...
How's that?
That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try not to keep you too long.
Well, it's your curling game that's in
I know,
question.
and we're into the second end. As president of the West Grey Durham Lions, I would like to take this opportunity to state our role in this project. In 2012, the Durham Homecoming initiated Sunday evening concerts as a fundraiser. These musical evenings became very popular and successful. When the Homecoming Committee disbanded, they asked the Lions if they would oversee the building of a suitable band pavilion to keep the tradition going. The Homecoming Committee entrusted the Lions with approximately $40,000 to erect this structure. Initially, the Lions, in discussion with representatives from West Grey and the Saugeen Valley Conservation, looked at several possible sites before agreeing to the current one. We presented our location to council, who asked that we consult Saugeen Valley and to poll the neighborhood. We did as told and did a poll of 8 households that we felt were closest to the proposed site. And if there's a problem with that, I guess I take partial blame, because I kind of came up with what I thought was the ones involved. From the poll that we did, no one objected to the proposal. We notified council with our findings about the 2 issues, and in council's reply to us, they added 8 more items of concern. This meant we had missed our Trillium grant. Our committee met with members from council, and we resolved those issues. We then sent out tenders, got a blueprint printed up with a 24 by 24 structure. We were then asked to write out a land use lease. We received an email that council was concerned about some clauses in the agreement, and at a later meeting with council resolved these concerns, and with the blessing of council, we applied for a Trillium grant on March 1st of this year. Why did we pick this location? It is close to the arena, which is the hub of our community. We're taking an abandoned field and making it into a beautiful park. Lots of parking and not that far from the downtown area. If it is done properly, this pavilion might become a place for weddings or a type of meeting place, or maybe just a place to rest. This location will be a nice reminder of the work done by the Homecoming Committee and hopefully provide incentive to do another homecoming. The present pavilion at Vickers Park needs repairs to it, and there's a safety concern with lawn chairs on the sidewalks and the audience crossing Highway 4. The pavilion would be built by West Grey Durham Lions with input from the municipality and Saugeen Valley Conservation. Landscaping will have input from the municipality and others. Presently, the Sunday concerts would be the only use that we're aware of. Any bookings would be handled by the municipality. The municipality has a noise bylaw that would be enforced, and I'm sure that failure to follow any laws would result in eviction of those parties. In conclusion, many years ago, Durham had several murals printed in the town. Discussion on the street at that time was what a waste of taxpayers' money, and that within a very short time those murals would all be destroyed with paint, etc. And yet these murals remain today a very important part of our town. So vandalism maybe isn't as rampant as we think it is. The Lions Committee has spent in the neighborhood of between 250 to 300 hours on this project in an effort to fulfill our promise to the Homecoming Committee. We have had blueprints drawn up that will have to be paid. We have jumped through many hoops presented by the West Grey Council and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority and have tried to meet those concerns to the best of our ability. Personally, I either want to get this pavilion built, or if this site is rejected, then let's dissolve the committee and move on to other projects that will helpfully improve our community. Thank you. Any questions before I try to skip off?
Mr. McIntyre has offered to take any questions from the perspective of the proponent. Does anybody have any questions of Ron at this point in time?
I have a question. I mean, you say it's been shut.
Could I, before you ask, could I get you to give your name?
My name is
Just
Suzanne Watson, and I live on Burr Street South. First of all, I mean, I don't think you did approach it in the right way because it's been very underhanded. I never received any notification of the design or anything. I mean, someone stopped by right after I got home from work and it was like a casual thing. And okay, then you'll hear more about it. Never heard anything. And so I feel that as a taxpayer, it's been very underhanded, which I don't appreciate. It's going to totally affect our quality of living with the noise. I mean, first you said it was just going to be a Sunday concert, then you're saying weddings and parties, so you have no control over it.
Municipality will have control.
can you,
That's the whole problem here right now. Everybody's taxpayers taking control of it.
Stuart, do you want to?
Stuart McPhail.
Thank you.
I think we need to get the council on board here and take control of this whole situation. What we're having is we seem to have the Lions Club in control of this whole situation. And I expect the council to take charge of this. And they haven't been to this point. Okay.
Well, this was as I can say, this was a proposal that came from the Lions Club to build a facility for the municipality. The municipality has had a couple of other, most recently constructed facilities for the municipality. I think the last one was out on Durham Road, or County Road 4, Lambton Street East would have been the last one that was developed and worked on by the Horticultural Society and the Parks, Bev, and New Tribes Mission did most of the work on that one out there. Yes, yeah. And that's how that one was developed. I guess where this whole thing comes out, though, is that the money came from Homecoming, and Homecoming, council didn't have, or had little input on that group as they were coming forward to put Homecoming on, and that committee made the suggestion that it be a band shell somewhere in the Durham area to complement the Sunday evening performances. That I see a couple of those performers and individuals that put that on are here tonight. That's where the money has come from, and the development has come forward, as Ronna said, mostly from volunteers. So,
Well, Doug Ray,
yeah,
I think the choice of location, we need a new band shell, yes, bigger, better. The choice is, it's just, go over there and turn around the circle. What do you see? Now, yeah, you're gonna make it pretty. But, McVickers isn't bad. If people would sit down below, get away from the high, because it's dangerous. I think the ideal spot is behind the credit union. Pretty, no houses, parking lot, hydro. That's my say on things.
go ahead, Ron. You've investigated that.
That was our first location.
Yeah.
And we went there and we walked around. We tried to come up with a location where the people could see the pavilion and there'd be enough room in that. And with the Saugeen Valley Conservation and with their stipulations, we didn't feel we could build a structure there. We then went to where the old block plant used to be, up by Upper Dam. And that was turned down for numerous reasons. We also went down, we looked at Rona. We looked at the lot beside where the, across from Tim Hortons, where the water building is, and that's not large enough. We looked behind the arena, and on the one side you have this septic, on the other side you have the skate park, and down below you have baseballs flying around. So we didn't think that...
Ball diamond would be out of question.
We thought so because of games Friday night and with, unless you went way down to sea, and I'm not sure if people would go down there.
Concerts on Sunday nights.
Pardon?
You're concerned about Friday nights in the baseball diamond. I thought you were just planning on having concerts Sunday night.
They play ball Sunday nights too.
Nice thing about the diamond is, when there's music down there, like at my house, by the hospital, you don't hear anything that comes out of it. Like I can sit where I am on Sunday night and listen to McVickers, I can tell Steve's on bass or Wayne Sharp, so. And that's not gonna change where you're thinking of going. It's gonna carry. But music at the ball diamonds, like in Canada, they, you know, sea diamonds hardly ever used. Although hydro, that'd be a long run to that. But everything else is right there on the hill. Makes sense to me.
Anyways, we looked at a number of sites and this was the one we came up with.
And the effect on the ball diamonds is very much similar to it was behind the park at the credit union. It doesn't, conservation doesn't want any buildings down there. And we seem to have frazzle ice under control, but we do know that we had it under control this year. Let's just say it this year. We don't know what next year or any other years will come, and Sea Diamond is a place where a lot of that ice ends up being put.
Anything down there because none of it's for the winter.
Yeah.
None of it's in the winter, but the building in there, the structure, and moving the ice around that structure becomes a problem because the calf shelter or the 4-H shelter down there, it's been damaged twice. All the fencing has been damaged as well too on that ball diamond if we get into that position. So it would very much limit if we had to move ice onto C diamond.
Yeah, that's a flood zone. It's a flood zone.
It's a flood zone too.
Yes.
The conservation has said they will need anywhere from a foot to, I think it was a foot or 11 inches, 11 inches of fill in there to control that.
So then it's going to come on to our property.
3 feet.
It will have to be directed away. It won't be onto your property. It'll have to be flood controlled or stormwater plan to where any of that water will come off of there and where it's going to go. That would be through the building permit process. That would have to be addressed. And Ron's got other commitments, so yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
I think Ruth is at the podium and would like to speak. There's, on the red, I believe it's a red button there, or if you push a button, you'll get the far right button. There you go. You are live
We
now,
got
Ruth.
juice now?
You've got the floor.
Okay. My name is Ruth McPhail, and I live on 118 Bruce Street South. Our backyard goes directly down to Station Street, where this is going to be located. I'd just like to say, first of all, I'd like to thank the council for calling this public meeting and letting us be heard. Because I am very displeased with the fact that the number of us were kept in the dark regarding this pavilion/band shell, as I'm hearing, that is proposed for our backyards. And this is our neighborhood, and we have been completely ignored. I feel things have not been done at all in good faith. I am not in favor of the pavilion band shell being located in the proposed location. I do not want any noise in my backyard whatsoever, and I feel the best location is behind the arena. I also find this bylaw, which I've read over thoroughly, is to be very vague. There's no clarification of when it would be used. As Ron said, maybe Sundays, but they might be planning large concerts. We may have music festivals down there. Who knows? Like, are they thinking this could be like an Old Sound where they have Kelso and summer folk? Like, we don't know and that's not what we want in our backyard. And so I will say the bylaw seems to be putting much of the responsibility upon the municipality. Sus the taxpayer. Keeping it up, the land, paying the insurance, so forth. Hydro. And I'm asking the question, is this something the town really needs? Is it something we really need to have? Also, I see under number 10 of the bylaw that there's to be coordination and approval with the Parks Committee on low maintenance landscaping. So what does the Parks Committee say on the whole project? Are we getting any feedback from the Parks Committee? I also have 2 letters I'm just going to read before I'm finished from a couple of residents that could not be here tonight. The first is from Philip and Denise Grove, who live on Sadler Street West, directly beside where this is going to be proposed. And they say, to whom it may concern, we would appreciate if users would not put this building where you are wanting to place it. It should be placed in behind the arena. If it was just Sundays, it would be fine, but we don't think that is the case. And also from Rick Hiltz, who received a letter to be here tonight. He could not be here. He lives at 415 Lambton Street West. And he says, this is to inform you that I'm not in favor of the pavilion/band shell that is being proposed at the corner of Station Street and Sadler Street West. I feel that this is not the place for it and that should be behind the Durham Arena. I was also never previously contacted by the Lions Club about this proposal. Okay. So I just wonder about questions regarding the Parks Committee. It's something that I'm kind of concerned about.
I would look towards Bev. You're more on the Parks, worked with the Parks Committee. We've asked them. Go ahead.
Yes, I did. We had a meeting this afternoon, and the chair of the Parks Committee gave me this letter. The Parks Committee has signed it, and I'll read it, and then I can answer questions if you have it. The West Grey Parks Committee does not support the Lions Homecoming Pavilion at this time. Our committee's decision not to support the pavilion at this time is for the following reasons. Our committee has not seen blueprints of the pavilion nor the complete plan. The committee feels that the homeowners on Bruce Street, Sadler Street, and Lambton Street need to be contacted, and a meeting with them, the CEO, Parks and Lions reps for the project to be held, need to be discussed. The placement on the proposed site raises concerns with privacy and security to the homeowners. Our committee would like the following answers in writing from the Lions. Who is responsible for the maintenance of the structure and for how long? Who is responsible for the yard maintenance, spring, fall cleanup, grass cutting, flower beds, etc.? Who is responsible for the garbage and garbage receptacles, weekly removal and ground debris? Who is responsible for the vandalism prevention plan, i.e. surveillance cameras, graffiti? Who is responsible for the lighting and the maintenance of the lights? Who's responsible for signage, parking control, power supplies, washroom facilities, residential privacy and security, flood plan approval? Who is responsible for insurance? And if there is a large crowd control. Is the Lions planning on creating an endowment fund for this project to keep it going for years to come? At this point, we feel there are too many unanswered questions, and our committee feel it would be an irrational decision for West Grey to make it this time without the above questions being answered. It is signed by the Parks Committee. I did not sign it.
Could, and I'll ask that that letter be entered. Thank you, Mark. And Ruth, if you got your letters, you know, as we leave, that would be fine. A number of those questions can be answered from the Parks Committee in the land use agreement. The waste and the grass cutting would be the responsibility of the municipality. Maintenance was going to be responsibility of the Lions Club. I think that the Lions Club had offered volunteerism to do spring and fall cleanup of the area. That was, I don't believe that that's in the agreement, but it was certainly in the expectations, and that was what verbally had been expressed, as the Lions Club is that organization that does a lot of that. A number of other ones, as I said, a lot of those other questions would have been answered in that land use agreement. First I have Stuart before Ralph. Stuart, go ahead, you've got the floor.
Can you hear me there now? My name is Stuart. Yeah, that's fine. Hi, my name is Stuart McPhail. I live at 118 Bruce Street South in Durham, and I'm concerned about what's happening with the whole procedure. So, anyways, I'll just read what I've got to say here. Many of our neighbors are here with me, and were not contacted or properly informed by West Grey or the Durham Lions Club. And I can see there's about 20-25 people here, and we had 2 letters that they couldn't make it here today. Taxpayers are on the hook for everything. Cleanup, renting out of the grounds, day-to-day activities, staffing, policing at events, insurance, hydro, etc. Is this not a Lions Club project? Pay your way. Noise. We don't want to hear any music at all in my yard. None at all. Location. It's not central. It's in industrial land. Council members, Lions members, would you like this band shell in your backyard? Probably not. If yes, put it there. We need a full environmental assessment of the property. Basically, it was used as a railway land before. It could contain creosote, oil, gas, diesel, and etc. I don't believe I've seen a business plan, an operational plan from Lions Club, West Grey. How much is this going to cost? $20,000? $40,000? Sky's the limit. Is this a need or a want? I believe this is a want. Service clubs come and go, but neighbors are still here. Thank you. We have quite a few more residents are going to get up to the microphone and speak. Thank you.
Okay. Ralph?
You want-
Yeah, could you
Thank
take
you.
the mic, Ralph? Thanks. Stuart?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I'm here to represent the Friends of Vickers Park. And I'm here with my sister, my brother-in-law Steve, and my wife Donna. For those who don't know me, my name's Ralph Clark. We've been involved in the Sunday night concerts over the last 2 years. Unbelievably well received by the seniors of Durham who don't have very much to do on Sunday night, and they love it. So we want to come before Stuart and the group to say, we will bend over backwards to make sure that our music is neighborhood friendly. That's, first of all, you are our neighbors and friends, and we respect you. And that's what I'd want to say first. That's why we're here. In terms of the present gazebo, I remember the last meeting, I think John and Rob had some calls, and people were saying, well, you know, it's a nice central location. And we were happy to have it. So we weren't being negative about it, but there are about 5 issues with the site that are not appropriate. Number 1, the sound of traffic. Even on Sunday nights, there are big rigs going through, cattle trucks, motorcycles, hot rod cars. So there's that minute when musicians and audience are just kind of in no man's land. Just let's wait until this goes by. So the sound of downtown traffic, even though it's central and we like that, that's a negative. Number 2, the size of the gazebo is wrong for some of the plans that we had. For example, I tried to entice the Silver Threads, which is a senior choir, and I thought they were on board, and they said, you know, it's not big enough. We can't fit in there, and they couldn't. So the size of the gazebo is just not appropriate. In terms of the roof, ask Wayne Sharp about the night that he was all set up, amplifiers plugged in, and it started raining and the water starts coming down on him and his electrical appliances. Very dangerous. Number 4, road crossing safety is one that really bothers me. You know, we have cars parking along the side, seniors crossing the road, being helped and so on, and you could just hope that nothing ever happens, but we've even had people sitting along the edge of the street. So it's a dangerous location. Now, in retrospect, now thinking about that, I keep thinking, should we even be involved in this? It's like, so somebody's going to sue us if somebody gets hit by a car? But you know, we have a wonderful thing here. Not everybody is into music, and I know, Stuart, you're right when you're saying it has to be in somebody's backyard. It doesn't have to be yours, that's what you're saying. But we've got a beautiful thing here, and it should be someplace. I know the Lions Club has worked hard to case out different locations. They've run into a lot of red tape.
Ralph, I'd like to ask you, though,
Yeah.
it's only been going on for 2 years. So what do you think, it's going to continue? Like, it just started homecoming 2012, you did last summer, you did it again. Like, is it good, that's what I'm saying, is this just going to be, is this just like a fad? We never had this before, all of a sudden we're having this.
I look at it as a money pit. for
Yeah,
the
you're-
Just a
taxpayers.
money pit, I just
Yeah.
can't believe it.
Like you're not, like you're just gonna have, next thing you're gonna want rock bands book in there. Like, you know, I'm just saying, it's a pavilion, it's like on a dance show. You're guaranteeing it's just for seniors music? You know, you're not.
We're, in our role, we're bending over backwards to say we will keep this neighborhood friendly.
Well, we really don't want it in our neighborhood, that's the thing.
No, I realize that, yeah.
And I don't think you can make that such a long-term promise, because eventually the municipality is going to be losing money for the upkeep, and then you're gonna have to start, we'll get some bigger acts and get some bigger acts, and then it's just.
You see, it's not my pavilion. Yeah, it's not my pavilion. It's our pavilion and something for the seniors of Durham.
You think the seniors are going to move down there, Ralph? I think we're not in a central location. That's what I really have a concern with this. You know, where a lot of those people that were there at the, they were at the old mill, they're walking down there.
A lot of them drive. I think a lot of them do drive, and that was a concern with the safety. Is then they walk off the parking lot across the road. That was the big problem.
Well, people can walk down on the grass. We've been down there 4 times. We do go down there and listen ourselves, so it's not saying that we haven't been there. And we didn't think there was any issues at all. There was ample space, there was ample lighting. You know, you put a lot of things in there were misleading.
Well, no, just, can I go back and finish? We talked about the sound of the traffic. We talked about the size of the gazebo for putting something like the Silver Threads, who are not a rock band. There's the leaking roof that would have to be repaired. But I don't want to be whining about the facility because we were happy to have it. It's just that if we were looking forward to a better facility that would deal with all of this. There's the road crossing safety, and then there is no inside lighting.
Upgrade the gazebo, the existing gazebo, and do that. I mean,
We don't have money.
if your performances aren't going to grow beyond the size that you have, I don't see the rationality of building this huge amphitheater or pavilion.
We are living
So you're
beyond our
contradicting
means.
yourself.
We are living beyond our means. That's what's going on in this room.
What I can say to the question that was asked, the money, the municipality doesn't have control over the money. The money that comes to build this and is being raised for it comes from the Lions Club, and they inherited that from the Homecoming Committee, who is, I see a number of individuals that were here on that committee as volunteers. And when Homecoming was done, and congratulations to them for 2012, because 2004, that Homecoming cost the municipality money. This one made money, and congratulations to the committee for doing that. The money that they made, they sat down as residents of the community and said, where do we invest it? And that's when they said they invest it with the Lions Club to be able to get a pavilion and make a pavilion, because the committee themselves didn't feel that, and I'm only going on what I think personally I know, didn't have the expertise to go about and build it, and it would have been a function that the Lions Club has looked at it on helping in the community as that type of
Could I just finish then, and I'll get out of your way? I
Please,
just
Ralph.
want to reiterate again that in our capacity, and by the way, we don't have money. I'm not the Lions Club. I'm just a volunteer, and I'm a musician. And I saw what the seniors got out of this, and I'd be welcome if somebody else would do something to help the seniors with an activity on every Sunday for the summer. It's volunteerism. We don't have money. What we set up last year, as the council recalls, we did a 50-50 split on the donations, and half of it went to the musicians and half went into our pot, which we then used to buy picnic tables for the parks. And we came away with not 1 cent in our coffers because we're volunteers. We don't want to be a community group associated with any particular group. So it's a little bit unfair to look at me and say that I'm doing something. I'm just trying to help the seniors of the town.
I understand that. It's the Lions Club that are heading this up. That's why we want to kind of, we're the ones. So you're basically, you are speaking for the Lions Club up there, right?
Well, I'm not speaking for the Lions Club because...
The one wanting this.
Do you want to talk on that, Heather?
That's all I want to know, like, it's just,
Go ahead, Heather.
I think it's great for everyone to have an opinion, but I live on Garifraxa Street, 274. I'm right in the center of town. I don't remember getting a letter when they wanted Tim Hortons or, but we think it's great because we want more life in the town. When they're playing ball over there, and when Bev Nixon was alive, we could hear him call out, "Strike one." We loved it. I mean, we thought, hey, somebody's having fun at the arena. And when there's a Country 93 dance, we can sit on our deck and listen to the music. We don't even have to pay the admission. So I can't believe that you are not hearing these same things on Bruce Street. I don't believe that you're not hearing that. One thing that does concern me, the arena is there, and I hope it's there to stay, and it needs to make money. And by having things going on and having more people come there, that actually helps the town coffers. So if this little wee bit of noise that we make at Vickers Park is bothering you, is the music at the arena bothering you? Is that going to be your next complaint? Or, like, it is a recreational facility, and we want life to be good in Durham. We want it good for all the people. But Ralph is not the only one that wants it. There's a lot of people. We had people coming from Hanover, Walkerton, Chesley, older residents that wanted something to do. When they got here, they spent money. I polled the stores. They spent money, they got gas, they went down and got French fries, and they got a meal. The merchants really do want this, and I'd be the first one to say behind the Credit Union Park really was where we wanted to go. But Soggy Valley does have control, and there's not much we can do about that. That's just my opinion. I'm hoping that...
Everybody wants a bigger, better gazebo. As you
Yes,
mentioned.
yes.
I agree with Ralph,
Yeah.
that that's a dangerous spot with people sitting where they are. Could we not have the newer, better gazebo there and have people down below? Away from the sidewalk in case the truck runs out of control? I think that's the second best spot.
Well, no, that is a great location, Doug, and I agree 100% with you on that. But I have another concern about why just this project. I didn't get a letter when they built Wightman's Park out there.
You're driving here.
No,
I'm just driving to say it's not normal process.
It's been underhanded, but it's also, everyone is kind of gilding the lily here.
Right.
Saying, oh, it's just a pavilion for seniors, but you're saying, oh, people from Wyerton, Hanover.
Yes, you're
I
right.
mean, I would like a better life for Durham too. I would like to see, some money, if the homecoming, you really looked into it, fix up the storefronts. I mean, people are driving through here from Toronto up to Georgian Bay. You could really bring some commerce in here. And for you to say that people are spending money in shops on Sunday night, none of the shops are open.
They buy meals and they buy gas. And I've already been to the stores to ask that question, whether it did impact ice cream cones, things like that, At least they were buying something on Sunday night versus nothing. But I didn't come here to argue. I'm just saying that Ralph is not the only one that likes the music. There's a lot of people who like it. And Durham has been solely built on volunteerism. Everything that's good in Durham was built because a bunch of volunteers got together and raised money. When Doreen McDonald was involved with Frontier Days, all the money went back into the arena and doing great things. I can, think of these things, and it's always a start. When the soccer park started, it was a group of volunteers that raised money and made the park. Similar, I think we have something going on, a warming center in the arena. It's a group of volunteers that are raising money and trying to make a better life in Durham. And this is what our opinion was, just to make things better. I don't know what normal council process is, but I know many things have come to Durham and we've never got a letter and been asked. So maybe they want to make that a normal process. It's when you keep saying that things are going on underhandedly, that kind of bothers me a little bit, because no other group has ever been asked, what their opinion was. Over the years, Kinsman donated thousands of dollars. Nobody in Durham got a letter to say, can they do that? Everybody was just happy it was going on. So I feel badly for the Lions Club. They've tried to do good work, and I'd like to thank them for the work that they have done.
Okay, I got a question here. Ma'am?
Could they not use the money to fix the gazebo where it is and do better landscaping? The $40,000, I'm sure would make some kind of a dent, but can't they landscape it? Make it flatter, whatever they need to do.
I doubt very much if you could improve it. That mic is still on. I can get it. I doubt if they could do a whole lot more there with the way it is. for the simple fact of impeding on the river, and the approvals you would have to go through are very similar to what's behind the credit union with conservation. They want to keep it more natural to the way it is.
But what about over by the swimming pool, the wading pool?
Same thing, that park there. It's very much limited to what it is now, just with the swings and whatnot. There won't be any approvals for a building in there either.
The only concern that I really have, Friday nights there's dances at the arena now.
Yes?
You would not believe the garbage. You wouldn't believe. There's used condoms in my backyard. Do I need this on a Sunday afternoon too? Like really, and my neighbor, her dog got it. She had to have surgery. And snicker, what if the dog died and she's sued, then what?
That I can't, it's going to be who's going to end up being sued. What I can tell you is I live on a very, gravel road, and I walk that road all summer. I would say probably twice a week. I find exactly the same prophylactics. I don't think they're the same, but at least I hope they're not the same ones, but I find them there too. I don't think that having that...
They're not in your backyard. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they're on the road. I'm not saying that they're very far from my front yard, because mine fronts on my front yard, fronts onto the roadway.
But was it in your yard this way?
No, it was not in my yard, but it's very close to it.
in her yard. And
I think we're getting a little bit off here on, yes, that is activity that happens at the arena. If you're going to have activity, we're going to have some of that. That's why we have a municipal police force.
can we just take a vote and say who wants it and who doesn't?
I think that will be on October the 24th. Sorry, the 27th. Could I get your name just for the minutes? Patty Jo Hatt. Yep. Question here first. Yep.
Question for someone on the Lions Club. I have learned that you own property behind the arena. So what is that doing just sitting there?
I'm sorry.
You do own a piece of property back there. You bought it for $1 back in the 50s.
No, that's Agricultural Society.
No, that's not the Lions Club. The Lions Club wasn't here in the 50s, so they wouldn't have, that's the Agricultural Society. They have the property there. It's the Ag Society is where the ball diamonds are. And the municipality has an agreement, a land use agreement with the Agricultural Society to put the arena and the ball diamonds on that property. The Ag Society has full use of the property for, Carol, 8 days, is it?
But, Mr. Mayor, the Diamond C does belong to the Ag Society. That was left out in that green.
Yeah.
Diamond
Can
C.
you use your mic there, Bev? Use your mic for it.
Diamond C does belong to the Ag Society. That was left for, I think inadvertently, but it was left out of that agreement. And you're right, they have free use of everything for 8 days. Yeah.
For the 8 days. Okay, Mrs. Watson?
I have a question. I mean, what about, if it's just a smaller gazebo up at like the upper level by the beach? There's the parking there, you put the gazebo up there. I mean, I think that's the perfect setting for it.
Beach.
Conservation. Beach.
Middle Conservation.
Yes?
Is that what it is? Oh, okay.
It's not our property. That's the Conservation Authority owns that, and wasn't the aspect for the group. Couldn't find a land use agreement, I don't believe, with the Conservation Authority on that. Mr. Tremble, did you have your hand up there? Go ahead, Don.
Should regroup and when you're doing your bylaw and then have a time thing. So there can be no music after 10 o'clock or 10:30 on a Sunday night, so it doesn't affect the neighbors. I'm always for building stuff in town. We always say about it's going to cost more for policing. We have the policing, we have the fire department, we have the people to cut the grass already. That's part of our tax dollars, so let's use it. Let's make Durham a place you want to be. I want to live here the rest of my life, and we keep shutting down projects that improve the town. This isn't gonna cost the town of Durham.
I don't see how this is going to improve it.
How's-
Why don't you fix up Main Street to make it attractive for more businesses to come in, to create more jobs?
What's the difference of Durham Furniture running on a Sunday night, the noise?
Runs every night.
Runs every night, so what's the difference there? That's okay in your backyard.
That's creating jobs for people.
But this is creating jobs too,
No, it's not.
and entertainment.
No, it's not.
What's the zoning on Bruce Street? Residential, agriculture?
That's industrial.
Residential,
Industrial.
some of it's industrial. The land that this is going on is institutional. Obviously with the municipality for registered industrial uses, but institutional as well too, is what the zoning is on it.
I just picture all these cities that bid for the Olympics and they build all these pavilions and everything, oh, it's going to bring lots of business in, and then once the Olympics leave, they have these shells of buildings that they've lost money, and this is that type of situation. And then the noise factor, you cannot control it, and I just don't think it's going to be good for the
Can I react to that? I think that your worries are really big, and if mine were as big as yours, I wouldn't even be here to promote the thing. It's much smaller.
My worries are real.
Yes.
And I think your argument, you're not telling everything that's going to be, because I think it's going to be huge concerts. I think to make it worth the town's while,
That's
you're
not,
going to try to
that
attract.
can't, that can't happen in Durham. It just can't happen. And it's not gonna happen under our watch for sure. Just.
Any other questions? Jen, go ahead, please.
My name is Janice McNichol, and I live at 156 Bruce Street. This is Jim Gow, my husband. I feel as though we're dividing here. We're being divided. For what reason? Maybe we didn't have maybe we didn't have our say that we're having tonight. Maybe we needed that say a year ago or 2 years ago, but that's hindsight now. The Lions Club is bringing forth a project that was gifted to them by the people that came to the Durham homecoming. And there's probably nobody in this room that can't say they didn't have a good time at that homecoming. From that generated a few dollars, and those dollars have been given to the Lions Club in order to make a project that we will see going off into the future. It's a reminder that we had a nice time that weekend, and we did we not? So having said that, they're taking now a piece of land that has collected garbage for a number of years, and we all have gone around and collected the garbage from that wasteland because it's what did you call it? Institutional. I don't know what that means, but anyways, it collects garbage during the winter months. In the spring, I go out and pick it up. It's wasteland. There's nothing there. There's birds that are in the trees, and there's bees, and there's wasps and whatnot in the weeds that grow there. But it's still just wasteland. Why can't we take that bit of wasteland, make it into an area that would bring enjoyment to me, and I'm 66, as well as anybody that's older or younger than me, and have a bit of entertainment on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. I could not get over the camaraderie and the good feeling that came from our local musicians coming forth with their perfect or imperfect music. I can't judge that one way or the other. But they came forth for their own goodwill to give us some enjoyment. If we wanted to throw a toonie in, we did. If we wanted to throw nothing in, we did. But everybody came away from there with a good feeling and a smile on their face, and that's not a bad thing. This is our small town. This is what we're supposed to be. Just liking each other and enjoying each other's company. I saw neighbors talking with neighbors, relatives talking with neighbors, and I was just sitting back looking. We were always sitting on the other side of the street. We didn't join in, but I was watching and looking, and I could see nothing bad coming out of that at all, except that there were times I couldn't hear the music because there was a big truck going by or there was motorcycles going by. They're going through our town. They're not stopping, unfortunately. They're going through our town. If we bring in half a dozen people to come and sit with us on a Sunday evening and enjoy our musicians playing just normal kind of music, how can that be bad? I don't get this at all. Why is that a bad thing? If it's a shelter
It's
that's
bad,
built,
Janice, we're not against the pavilion at all. But I just
Okay.
don't really want it in my backyard. Maybe it's okay to do it, but I really don't want it in our backyard. We're not against it at all whatsoever.
yeah, and I
It's just
understand
where
that,
it's being placed.
but it isn't in our backyard. It's
Well,
not our
it
land.
is.
It's
Yes, it is.
it's the land that's
It's
sitting
our,
there.
it's our backyard.
It's across the way.
It's in our backyard.
Well, there's Station Street in between.
Well, still,
But even so, we're splitting here, so we're neighbors, right?
I know.
Let's come to some kind of conclusion that we can enjoy this.
There's about 10 or 12 people in this room. I went around seeing a lot of the residents, and the major concern was noise. And this council hasn't addressed noise, and I don't want any noise in my yard, so that's the number one thing. So I think council needs to address the noise issue. And I said no noise in my yard. So that's the issue that we'll have to address here. Or you should address.
What are we talking about noise here first, just so I'm clear? Stuart?
Well, noise is going to, like, if you're going to turn the volume up, you have different groups there. And they're going to run it from what time to what time. You know, there's all these speculations. What is the noise level? You know, there's a lot of issues here. I don't want to sit in my backyard, in my pool area, on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and listen to music. If I want to listen to music, I'll go to Casino Rama. Okay? And that's what I want to say to you.
Okay. So if I was to put this proposal forward then, Stuart, and that was through the Lions Club, that it would be rented through the municipality. At this point in time, we have, worked towards getting a committee together to put some site plan restrictions around the, would you sit on that committee?
I don't know. Don't hold me
Okay.
up to that.
No, I
I
just,
think something should address, Kevin, is environmental assessment of that land. Train engines used to sit there, the station was down in there.
exactly,
And that's,
yes.
you're gonna start digging in there?
No, it would be,
People are gonna be-
it'd be on a slab. That's
I
one
just-
thing about this.
Just, you know, we don't know what's underneath it.
No, it's on a slab. There's quite a bit of area around Durham that was like that.
Yeah, what's the thing?
This building right here went through those types of things too. Everybody said that there was, and after 3 environmental assessments on it, all 3 of them come up with the same thing. This was an old garage. There was no environmental hazard under here. So, I mean, we can assume that everybody's in a love canal, but thankfully we're not.
What is this, the sound restrictions or bylaw nowadays, or decibels or hours or?
I believe I would look towards somebody that interpreted that for a number of years, Mr. Thompson, but I believe it is 11 o'clock. Rob? Okay.
Yeah, the bylaw, there's nothing in there in regards to sound levels. It's basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Within reason, you know. If there's a call, complaint filed, then the police will attend, and 9 times out of 10, we'll ask the people to turn it down. And failure to do that, there's parts in there that they can go under the criminal code, not so much as a bylaw. If it's a continuous complaint as such, you can go under public mischief on the code. So, but anyways, that's very seldom. That's not ever done. But yeah, it's just basically the hours of operations.
Heather again, and then Jim, do you want to speak? We'll just
Sorry, I'm not on. The noise, we had agreed with the council at the last meeting, kind of that any big events would be held within the arena, because we'd want that revenue to go to the arena. We're not holding big events, and I think they understand that. the big events, concerts and things like that would go inside the arena as they are now. It would just be a way of having some small events that are not too costly.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Jim, as a resident?
I've listened. The biggest complaint is Stuart and McPhail don't want music in the backyard because we can't enjoy the backyard.
Can't hear him.
I kind of find it hard to weigh all the bees that I get in my backyard against a bit of noise that earplugs would get rid of. As far as I'm concerned, council turns us down. We gotta do the next sensible thing. Sell it to Trimble at a real cheap price. And have them turn it all into some kind of industrial where we start making money off of it.
That's a good idea. I'll take
All right. I think we've had a council, unless council's got any questions or opinions. The bylaw itself is just a bylaw for a land use agreement. Quite frankly, that the Lions Club was applying for a Trillium grant. Trillium will not, if they're going to be putting funding into a program or a structure, will not do that without having a land use agreement in place, just to cover their bases and cover the legalities. This is for the Lions Club to put the pavilion on there. The council has taken on the responsibility of renting it or leasing it out, taking on the responsibility of the garbage, emptying the garbage receptacles and cutting the grass as we've have for, well, West Gray and, yeah, West Gray's been, well, we're almost closer to 14, Bev, in West Gray, and I know that Durham did it before then with the parking lot for Durham Furniture trailers back before that. What I see is putting some specifics around the usage. If council wishes to go ahead with the agreement, I would see on those rentals of when it could be rented and what it would be rented for. I think Heather expressed it, you know, as to what is going on at Vickers Park. Ralph has said that basically it's outgrowing that, and we want to continue the group. Homecoming and the Lions Club wanted to continue it on and have a place for that, for those types of events. If we can put a framework around that, that it wouldn't be an AC/DC concert, it would be Ralph Clark and Friends concerts from 7 till 9 on a Sunday evening. I think that's what we see it as, and that's where we would put it forward to. You haven't spoken yet, ma'am.
No,
if you can.
I just moved here 4 years ago. And I came from Cambridge, and I find this a very nice, quiet town, and people very friendly. Do I agree with the gazebo behind? No, for the simple fact that it's okay if you do it Sunday, 7 till 9, but what's going to happen when you rent it to somebody that wants it till 1 in the morning? I have to, summertime, I have to close my windows because I can even hear, I mean, I don't mind the noise that comes from the arena because it's not right there at you and won't echo off towards you. And that I don't agree with. If it's going to be rented out to large people with big parties and carry on, and is it going to become a hangout for teenagers?
Yeah.
You know?
Possibility of it being a hangout for teenagers?
That's right.
Yeah, you know.
It probably will.
We've got a hangout down at the Ball Diamond for teenagers. We've got an arena for teenagers. We've got the Middle Dam that teenagers hang out at. As they move on, we would hope that, this wouldn't be one, and that as they become more mature, this would be their hangout on a Sunday afternoon. Council, if we're renting it out, I would, think the council would say, no, you're not operating there after, what the restriction would be, 9 or 10 o'clock, is how I see it being played out. If this goes forward, it's not a proposal that is already approved. But anything that beyond that, there would be the restrictions on it, as there are in a number of other parks at the present moment. So that I can.
Very nice, quiet street.
Yes.
When we moved here from Cambridge, which was very, very noisy, and you can imagine, so it's quite a different change for us, and that's what, try to get away from stuff like that. And I don't agree that there should be a loud noise up at 11, 12, 1 o'clock.
And I think, from talking with council and whatnot, that's not the vision that council sees on this either. It would be, over at this period of time, if you're proposing an outdoor activity that goes beyond that, well, that's not your place. Go to the Varney Speedway. Apparently, they have some noise problems down there, but that's in Southgate, so we won't worry about that.
Not good for the people across from them either.
Well, as I said, that's in Southgate. We'll let them worry about that.
And would we know what would be going on down there if it was rented out? Would we be informed if there would be? No. So just know that. Yeah, okay, I just didn't know.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to look on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, what's it rented to? Yeah, that I think could be given out. No different than what the Legion does right now of having their schedule of events. No. So you don't want to go now, Doug. All right, that's fair. Okay.
There's a will, there's a wake up.
Carol.
Well, it seems to me from hearing from everyone, no one is against the project. No one is against it. What they're basically against is the location.
Right.
And as you know, most of us weren't very happy with that location either. I'm wondering if a couple and some of our staff, a couple from council and a couple from the Lions could get together and have a look at some locations. I mean, we weren't involved. It is going to be a municipal facility, and really as such, we should be involved as to where it is and, how it's going to be looked after. And I don't know why they were so adamant against the location behind the arena, but maybe if we meet with them, we can find out. Maybe we can convince them it is a good place, or they can convince us it isn't, what their reasons are. Maybe we should be contacting conservation with regard to the parking lot behind the credit union and getting a take on that. I mean, if they can put it in a floodplain over by the arena, why can't it go in a floodplain behind the credit union? And I think maybe if we had more hands-on in cooperation with the Lions and try to come up with a solution and go from there so that everybody is happy, because I don't think anybody wants to see it fail. They just don't like where it's going.
Okay. Mr. Akins, from the Lions perspective.
We look at probably every empty piece of town property.
No, I realize that, but I'm just saying in conjunction with council and staff.
Our number one location was behind the credit union on town property, and I think it's only about 25 feet wide. In order to put something, you'd have to build it into the river bed itself. No way they can do that. There's no way for people to sit on grass, which they like to do.
But you could put it in the parking lot and have
There's a ditch there about 3 feet deep, and I think it runs about 6 feet wide, all the way from the street to the river, and it gets deeper as you go back to the river.
Does the thing have to be 24 by 24?
We don't have that.
No. So why does it have to be 24 by 24? Why can't we do it smaller?
If you're going to put a flyer on something like that, the average person is about 2 feet wide. You know, some are a little smaller, some are a little
Yeah, but that's,
24 by 24, I think, was in conjunction with the musicians that have been playing for the last 2 years and what they envisioned. I think that was where the 24 by 24 came from. You know, what do we need? You know, what is required to be functional, I guess is the best way to put it. Mr. Thompson.
Just to answer some of those questions, at the end of Queen Street parking lot, where the gazebo sits now, and I don't know how that gazebo got there, but during the 97 flood, that's where that water come over that bank and down through the seniors building at the time. So there was concern there, and obviously Saugeen Valley's now looked at it and said no. And sitting on that committee with the homecoming and when the money was distributed out there, we looked at the different sites and we got turned down by Saugeen Valley in a lot of spots. You know, you got that steep embankment right behind the credit union off the Queen Street parking lot. So I don't know how you'd ever build something in there, and the only spot would be down at the south end of the parking lot. But then again, and that was brought up during one of our meetings at the end of homecoming, and I was concerned at the time for the seniors that live in that building for the noise. And that's why, yeah, it's a nice idea to have the band shelter, but the location is no, and I still think we should go behind the arena. That's a nice spot and be used only on Sunday nights for the seniors that enjoy it on Sunday nights. I know there's a traffic issue on Sunday nights, but, and use it only. And if the municipality has to maintain it and look after it and do the bookings and so on, then the municipality should have the rights to say where it's going.
Any other questions? Donna.
When you say behind the arena, are you talking about on the top of the hill behind the arena?
Yes. Yes, right at the top of the hill, at the back of the arena where the gazebo comes out of the, there was a washroom porta potty there in February for the games down at the bottom end, right at the top above the pavilion that's there now. A little bit.
So, Rob, like you're chairman of the arena board, so you kind of have an idea what's going on. So are you going to say then you're going to tell people they can't play ball on Sunday night?
Oh, no, I think it'd be great for people to on.
There's no ball?
No. There's no ball anymore on Sunday nights. So I haven't played ball for years, but I think it'd be great with it up there. I mean, people that when it is ball games, people can sit in there and watch the ball games from that area too. You know, so, but and then again, you know, yeah, we'd have to look at some of the stipulations.
That would be my concern with that.
Yeah, if there's a
tournament or.
Yeah, and I believe it's Sunday afternoons. I don't know. I haven't been over there for a long time, so ball changes all the time in regards to it. And, and
Looking at the top of the hill, so the only one that plays Sundays is Paul Vixen Blue Water, and that's down the bottom hill. That wouldn't bother anybody.
Yeah, I knew there was a game there.
Are you saying that the Blue Water boys couldn't hit the ball to the top of the hill like you could in your prime, Cowboy? One of the concerns at the top of the hill, though, was the with some of the noise from the sewage treatment plant, but I know that's what Ron had mentioned earlier. Just want to keep that in mind. Yep. This was to be an information just to give individuals, and I think Mr. McIntyre, the president, had apologized for that on his part when this proposal was put out. It wasn't 2 years ago or anything like that. It was just last fall that, or late in the summer. I'm looking at Gord, Jim, Lloyd, Harriet, some of the Lions Club members that were here that were to do that polling. Maybe a lot of these questions could have been deferred had the extension been put forward, but that was a miscommunication, maybe on behalf of council when it was proposed by the Lions Club about how far the polling was to be done. Anyways, that, as they say, is water down the river already that thankfully is looking there. Does council have any other questions? or thoughts that they want to bring forward. Because I know that our CEO, Mr. Adams is our new CEO. Maybe this will be the first time some people see him, but he's thinking that this council meeting doesn't need to go on till 2 o'clock in the morning because he's got about an hour drive to get home. So Mr. Gould has half an hour to get home, and I'll say that as well too. If you're, go ahead, Ruth. Last comment.
Is council going to look at the recommendations from the Parks Committee?
I would certainly think that they'll be taking them under consideration if third reading is going to be had on this bylaw. Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you very much for everybody coming out. I hope this sheds some light on it and some input. So I'll call the information session to a close. And it is public and it's an open meeting. Does anybody want to stay for the rest of council? You can do. Yeah, that's always the exit sign. Thank you very much. Well, yeah. Now, council members, you have to stay. We'll take.
Tonight?
Your sign's half over the thing.
We will take a break until everybody decides whether they're going to stay or not stay. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And I think that was a good information session. People got to voice a lot of opinions. Consent agenda. I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that items A1 to C2 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted, and further that authorization be given for the actions to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Questions on the motion? Carol.
Thank you. Just a correction. Committee of the whole minutes of, what was it, 20, where are they, 27th?
27th February?
25th.
Or 25th, sorry.
Where are they? 27th, yeah. On page 5, and Mark, I guess I didn't make myself clear when I asked for that correction to the position of interlibrary loan officer. It should read branch librarian, interlibrary loan officer, Durham branch, because it is a branch librarian position, but it deals with the interlibrary loan. So if you just add branch librarian before interlibrary loan officer, and then Durham branch.
Okay, that's very minor. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Errors or omissions? Going to call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Declare that carried. All right. Mark, you can hand out the motions to take action on those items. That brings us down to communication from Mayor and Council. And do we have any communications that want to be brought out? Deputy Mayor Bell.
Just one little one. This week there was a committee, well, sorry, it's not a committee, excuse me, but it comes from the county more than anything. It's more of an announcement. There were some funds distributed in the county this past week to 7 lucky groups, I guess, who had put their name forth, wanting in receipt of some very worthwhile projects that are going on in the community. And Grey County distributed $35,000 to these 7 groups, of which lucky wonderful thing that happened in Durham, the Meal on the Hill group will receive $5,000 from Grey County for their ongoing operations. Grey County recognizes a significant part that they play in the community and to those people they serve. So that's a good news story.
All right, and that was through the social services director that had some funding left over from a program that distributed to the county operatives.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
They will be receiving that check on this Thursday.
Okay, thank you, and I hope you can be there. I have to be in Toronto at another function, so.
I will be there.
Anyways, Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring to your attention that the Newstead Recreation Advisory Committee has approved covering the cost to the Mew Creek Bridge up to $25,000. $2,000 will be coming in off the top from the Lions. They have pledged $2,000. The Newstead Lions have pledged $2,000 when the bridge is finished and installed. And as I say, the committee has approved up to $25,000 to pay for that.
Very good.
And just as well, Newstead again, I just brought in another $644 this week from the month of pickleball. And so every month there's somewhere between $600 and $800 coming in. And a stack of checks about that high for the craft show. So it's, they're ongoing with their fundraising.
And just one other thing happening in Newstead last night, the firemen's annual chicken dinner. I think that they served a little over 300 from what I heard. Another very good session down there to support the firemen and their activities in the community. And in saying that, there was just as an aside on Friday night, just before roller skating, there was a propane leak, a gas leak at the Newstead Arena. The firemen checked it out, evacuated the arena, and got things under control. Ended up, it had to do with our federal government because they're under control of the weather, and it was snow that broke the pipe on the outside to the tank, and that's where the propane leak was coming. So they had that capped off. With the price of propane, no, I said, did the whole tank go? And no, they only thought that they lost about 20%. Were able to get a hold of it very quickly, and it was a broken line outside the arena. So everything was looked after good, and thank them very much for that. Carol.
On that issue, I haven't found out how many people were there, but I was discussing it with Ken earlier. I know there were people there from Sauble Beach, for instance, that had come to roller skate, and there was a birthday party to go on and so on. And I haven't had this confirmed, but I don't believe that they were refunded their money. And I'm sure with all the chaos that would be going on, that's what happened. So I was discussing with Ken that perhaps the next roller skating should be free, and it should be advertised as such due to the inconvenience of closing, and just to make amends for what happened. And it's pretty hard to know who was there and who wasn't, so you can't just offer it to them. So I think Tom is going to be talking to Cam tomorrow on that issue.
Okay, let staff look after that one. As an update, the Durham, where is the paper? Thank you, I finally found it. Just wanted to make note that the Durham invitation to the Foundation's annual meeting is on Thursday, March 27th, 6:30 to 7:15 in the boardroom at the Durham Medical Clinic. All of council's been invited. They wanted to have a photograph to commemorate our donation to the foundation for the clinic. It would be $12,500, so they're doing a little bit of that. And that evening, surprisingly, I've got something else on. I've committed to being on Politically Speaking in Owen Sound at 7 o'clock. So 6:30. Well, I am chair of the police services. No, I still couldn't make it in time by doing that. Rob, even you're driving? No. I'm just going to sit here. We couldn't do that, so I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Bell, will you be able to be there for the foundation?
Yeah, I've already made that commitment.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, that happened? Yeah, that did happen at the last meeting, so we're fine. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? All right. Well, we will get on then with the rest of our delegation. And Roberta, I apologize for being slightly
interesting.
Oh, well, I'm glad we could entertain you. We have Roberto Bignell, the Executive Director of the Community Foundation Grey Bruce, here this evening to bring us kind of an update and an overview of what the foundation has been granting their money to and what they're looking forward to coming up. So Roberta, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Go ahead. Nope, you got to wait until that red light comes on. Push a far right button. There you go.
Okay.
Now you're live.
There we go.
You're recording everything.
Oh, no. Thank you very much for letting me come tonight to give you the update and also to announce my retirement as of April the 1st after 12 years with the foundation. And Ali Bolton from the Roxy Theatre in Owen Sound will be taking over my position. And she'll be coming down at least once a year to give you the foundation updates. I want to start you off tonight with just a very short video. So if I could have you turn that on for me. This is a message from the Governor General.
Any sound or hear?
Where the little bell is.
At the bottom there, Carrie, bottom just beside the plate. You've got it shut right off too. Yep, right there. Ooh, now we're cranked up. Yeah. Let's see what we've got now.
For all the good that exists in history and their parts, we still face many challenges. We can and we must learn. Canadians know this, and they also know that successful communities are the key to building the better communities we create. That's why I'm so pleased to see the launch of the Smart and Caring Communities movement to inspire change from the ground up. Through this initiative, the Community Foundations of Canada Network has set two important goals. The first is to ensure that every community is served by a foundation in time for the 150th anniversary of Confederation in 2017. The second goal is to connect the country to the establishment of flexible community funds nationwide. As patron of Community Foundations of Canada, I'm delighted to see this vision take shape. For more than 90 years, community foundations have been dedicated to building better places to live, work, and play. I've seen firsthand the impact these organizations can have on our lives, and I'm confident that great things are in store through this new initiative. Together, we have arrived at an important moment in our communities and in the history of Canada. We face complex and interrelated problems, but the opportunities for creativity and collaboration are abundant. Our success will depend upon our ability to help others and to address important issues. And the Smart and Caring Communities movement has the potential to expand our reach and effectiveness greatly right across Canada. With the launch of this initiative, Canada's community foundations are mobilizing to help others and to strengthen our country. It's the very definition of smart and caring. On behalf of all Canadians, I wish you every success.
I'll just give you a little bit of background about the Community Foundation. It is a registered public foundation providing 3 avenues of support for residents in Graham Bruce County. One is a safe, secure, trusted avenue for residents to give back to their community through creating endowed funds for particular fields of interest. We provide resources and training for not-for-profit organizations in governance and best practice, bylaws and grant writing, to name a few, but mainly to provide an avenue to apply for funding twice per year. In 2014, we will be giving out approximately $500,000 through Graham Bruce counties. Number 3, we are a nonpartisan organization that assists communities dealing with an issue by providing an avenue to find a solution to that particular problem. 2014 marks the 20th anniversary of the Community Foundation Grey Bruce serving our communities. And from our humble beginnings beginning in 1994, when the foundation was known as the Owen Sound and Area Community Foundation, I have with me tonight the first annual report in 1996. The first endowed fund created at the Community Foundation was through Percy and Kathleen Noble Family Fund. This fund has supplied grants to minor sports in the areas of Hepworth, Shallow Lake, Allenford for over 20 years. At the AGM dinner in 1996, there were 3 grants presented: the Girl Guides, the Bruce Trail, and the Boys and Girls Club. By 1996, total assets stood at $300,000. We have made great strides over the last 20 years. Our name is now Community Foundation Grey Bruce. Our total assets now stand at $13.5 million. We have 85 endowed funds, and I've put a list out for you to take a look at. You'll notice on the left-hand side is the name of the fund, and on the right-hand side is where the earned income each year goes to. We now have 4 community funds. That's 4 of our communities have come forward and said that they would like to establish an endowed fund for their own particular area. Saugeen Shores, Grey Highlands, Owen Sound, and Meaford. And we just got word today that Saugeen First Nations will be starting a community fund, and also Georgian Bluffs. The foundation presented grants to over 105 not-for-profit organizations in 2013, and we hope to double that this year. Grants to West Grey over the years have been your Durham Homecoming, the Spoken Aloud Festival. The Durham Art Gallery has received several years of granting from the foundation. To celebrate our 20th anniversary, the foundation has initiated a wide-spreading outreach program in Grey and Bruce counties to invite all residents to be part of the Community Foundation. We have over 142 volunteers with ambassadors set up in each municipality, city, and territory to help us spread the word. Over the course of the year, each area will have anniversary banners, story and picture boards displaying grantees and donors, and printouts of information about the foundation and special events. You'll see that the picture boards that we've chosen for your area of West Grey are the Durham Art Gallery, and I believe the other one is Canadian Mental Health, yes, and that is for your puppet program at your schools. The volunteer for West Grey is Harriet Mitchell, and she's here with me tonight. In partnership with the Foundation's 20th Anniversary Committee, volunteers will be assisting us in our plans for the year. Watch for 20th anniversary displays and come to a Foundation open house. Attend any events that are happening throughout the area. Secondly, the Right Honourable David Johnston, Governor General of Canada and the patron of community foundations, has challenged community foundations across Canada, which now reach coast to coast, with 192 established foundations, to identify an issue in their area and to create a smart and caring community fund dealing with that issue. The initiatives across Canada will be recorded in the Sesquicentennial Celebration Book in Ottawa in 2017. After much consideration, the Community Foundation of Grey Bruce has chosen Pathways to Education as our initiative and have made a commitment to the Governor General to establish a $1 million education endowed fund by 2017 for students from Grey and Bruce counties. Literacy and education programs that enhance the quality and ease accessibility of learning and educational opportunities throughout our region are imperative to providing sustainable communities that have kept our residents, especially our youth, living and working in Grey Bruce. At this particular point, the Community Foundation has approximately $750,000 in our education fund. By 2017, we would like to increase that by $1 million. The Pathways to Education will follow the guidelines of the Board of Education by including the 4 pillars of education: university, college, apprenticeship, and workplace, with scholarships, bursaries, and prizes. At this point, of all of the funding that's available in Grey and Bruce counties, only 2% is available in apprenticeship and workplace. So we hope to increase that dramatically. A team of educators from Grey Bruce has been established to assist with the criteria, application form, and to assist in choosing the recipients. This committee is made up of representatives from all of the school boards, including Blue Water, Catholic, French, First Nations, Georgian College, OYAP program, and the workplace program. A matching fund program has been put in place to offer 50 cents on the dollar up to $10,000 for new funds that are started. So my question for you tonight is, how will West Grey be celebrating your sesquicentennial? I would like to invite you to consider joining the Community Foundation in our sesquicentennial project. With a letter of endorsement from Mayor and Council, we can assist residents in in West Grey to promote this education fund, to help them contribute to it and be part of our plans for the sesquicentennial. So tonight, what I'd like to do is to ask you, not for a donation, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear. What we're doing is we have a large map of the Grey Bruce area. We're asking for a letter of endorsement to council, which just means that with your endorsement, we can then go out to the residents of West Grey between now and 2017 and create this education fund. That's all we're asking of you tonight. All of those letters and flags on the map will be sent to Ottawa in 2017 and recorded in the Sesquicentennial book.
Well, that sounds very good. Is there any chance that those people in Ottawa would support our Canada Day celebrations?
Hard to say. You can always ask.
Well, we have, and they said no.
Oh, that's not good, is it?
They have very strict restrictions around, and
I'm just sure they do.
Instead of being facetious, we've had a Canada Day celebration here. One of our local groups has sponsored it and put it on for a number of years, but because of other groups that have already had July 1st, they always take the Saturday before July 1st. And we've had Canada's federal government support, but this year they have said, no, if it doesn't happen on July 1st, we're not sponsoring it.
Oh, I see.
Too bad, so sad, go away.
Oh, dear.
And so just my little kick out there to the federal government
That's okay.
at this point in time. Sorry, Roberta. If, and I've got my clerk here and saying that, would, if we had that on, that motion on our next council agenda, would that be?
That would be fine.
Very
And
good.
I have the statement that I can send to you.
I was wondering if you had,
And
yeah,
all
you
you
had
have to
wording
do is
around.
sign it.
If we had wording around that, we could put that on our next agenda. And
That would be wonderful.
I think it would be a very worthwhile effort for education in support for Grey County,
Yes.
Grey and Bruce County, but
Yes.
certainly in West Grey to get that going. We have maybe been, I know Councillor Lawrence has tried to push more and more support for the foundation, and
thank you.
It takes a little bit of time, but this may be one of the emphasis that really kicks it off and gets it moving
Good,
here. So
yes.
we look forward to it.
Would it be possible for me to put the picture boards and our banner up here in your, well, maybe not in here, but out in your lobby for a bit of time?
Carrie, Mark, Larry, do you think Eunice would allow that? It's pretty much her domain out there. Eunice is our front face, the front office staff person out there, but
I can leave
can't see there being a big
I can leave the
problem with that.
package with Harriet if you like, and then wait for an answer.
Yeah, no, I can't see there being no, we'll try and display it as much as possible to get
Wonderful.
the promotion going.
Well, thank you for letting me come to present over the years. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for the tireless work that you've done on behalf of the foundation, and in that, congratulations on deciding to move on to a new career. That retirement will be most enjoyable.
We're having our 8th grandchild anyway,
Well, now after 8, I mean, really, it should be, you should be well experienced at it and not need to be worry about too much. Yeah. I don't know, that's a question you can ask, Mark. I'm not going to ask whether 8's enough. Is it 62 now? So John has...
No, I don't want to go that far. No.
former councillor John S. Black has 62, and I think his 6 great-grandchildren now already. So,
Well, that's extraordinary.
well, again, thank you very much, Roberta, and take care and a safe drive home. Okay. All right. So we'll have that motion. Mark, will you be able to get it from Roberta, and we'll put it on the next agenda. That would be great. Moving along, any business arising, sorry, Adam, any business arising from the next meeting, from the previous meeting? Didn't have the mic on when I was speaking. Adam's just pointing out there. Seeing none, then we'll get down to staff reports. And the first one comes from Carrie, Director of Finance, is with us. Thank you, Carrie. Was noted that you have a green blouse on tonight to start with. That's excellent. For St. Patrick's Day. And to really top it off, she went out last week and bought herself a very nice green purse too, just so she could be fashionable. I want to put that out there, Carrie. Just, and well, the shoes just come, that's expected as well too. First thing on Carrie's report is the payment of accounts. And in the accounts, I'm just wondering if there's any questions before I present the motion. Seeing none, very good. It's always easier to get an account of this size passed than it is one of 200,000 and 2.5 million. We have a motion. I have a motion moved by David Molson and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 5, 2014, the Municipality of West Grey, in the amount of $2,551,830.22. Well, this is normally not quite this high, but at tax we have from education and the Grey County proportion going through, so that pushes it a little bit higher. Any questions on the motion? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. The next one, Carrie, is request or annual fees from the multi-municipal wind turbine working group, and they've asked for a slight increase, I believe, this year. So, is any questions or comments on that, Carrie, or anybody from that sits on the committee? Carol.
Well, excuse me. We were paying $500 a year, each of the groups, and I believe there was just 10. Brockton had not paid, and there was one other, but anyway, that is not sufficient to cover Teresa Gowan's stipend. She has been actually buying cartridges and paper and so on out of her own money, so this the extra 100 that they were talking about, putting it up to 600, would cover that. The additional 100 is to for each of us to contribute towards the cost of the Nigel Bell Chamber report on the so-called closed meeting that was held in Ripley, which was not the multi-municipal wind turbine group. It was private, but the complaint was against Huron Kinloss, and we're part of that group. So my understanding is I don't believe the 7, unless the group decides in another year, but it was firstly being raised to 600 and then a separate invoice sent for the 100, but it was decided just to put the request in for 700. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Bell?
Yeah, just go along with it. Exactly. Carol explained it very well. Yeah, it was a private meeting. One citizen thought they were unfairly done by, and this citizen is proponent of wind, but it was in fact a private meeting. Mr. Belchiver was called, his bill for his investigation, and the day was just short of $1,100. So that basically is what this is cover off, recognizing that group did not do anything wrong, as was concluded by Mr. Belchiver. So but his fee was still forthcoming.
Okay, any other comments on this? I do have a motion moved by John A. Bell and seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby supports the 2014 contribution of $700 to cover administrative costs in the multi-municipal wind turbines working group. Everybody's fine with that? Just saying that that's our membership fee for the year, basically. Okay? Yeah, that's what it is. Any comments on the motion? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. I'll say that that is carried. I can't let it go without saying, obviously, in this day and age, Nigel is, Mr. Belchambers, charging less than what I expected for a day of his expertise and work. The collaborative agreement from Elmwood Homecoming. That's on bylaw 23. Is there any comments? Well, Carrie is here. Carol.
Just had a question. When are they applying? Like, they're going to miss their homecoming, aren't they?
Carrie, do you want to cover that one off?
They have applied for the March deadline, and Trillium has gone back to them and asked them to that they need a collaborative. So
it's already in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's for this one. They just needed clarification that there was a collaborative, and this is ours to follow up with on the program. Okay, so that'll be coming up on the bylaw. There's no other questions on that. Carrie, you're seeking direction on the Elmwood fire budget. Is there anybody that comments or questions? Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, so we've got the request from the board that they've recommended that the councils approve it. We do not have in our budget enough to fund our share as our budget currently is passed, so we will need to address that if you are going to approve this as presented. It is the capital that is has increased. The operating side is down $1,000, but it's the capital for the truck, the new truck, and then the refurbishment of a truck, and then their usual sort of capital items. But it's the two trucks that are. We were anticipating the one truck. I don't know if, but and so I don't know if you want to approve it as it stands, or.
Sorry, Councillor John Eccles.
The problem we had with the Elmwood Fire Board is we anticipated a truck at $350,000. With what's happening to the Canadian dollar, even since they put the tender out, which is less than 30 days since they put the tender out, with the fall of the Canadian dollar, it's added over $27,000 to the price of the truck. So through no fault of anyone here or in the Elmwood Fire Board, budgets got thrown out of whack pretty quick. The other thing is they were trying to refurbish the old truck into a tanker. Liability issues have arisen with other fire companies that have done that, and the truck wasn't designed for it, so they're being advised not to. So now we have to go out and look for a truck that is suitable for that instead of refurbishing an old one. So instead of $20,000 to $30,000, which we'd originally budgeted for, now we're looking at a possibility of $50,000 for a truck. Hence the increase in the capital. I think in the budget there it says we got $20,000 going to reserve. Well, we're going to try and put this $50,000 truck off by putting $20,000 into reserve, and and looking at it again a year from now. That's what's happened to our budget at the Elmwood Fire. It's mainly things that have been out of our control.
Any other questions or comments on the fire? John, Deputy Mayor Bell.
Well, real quick, I guess this is quite a little adjustment, I guess, to try to swallow. I know there's been a few little problems with the Elmwood Fire Department in the past, and hopefully we're over some of them, but I guess I'm just wondering about prior planning. Was there any reserve put away in the last few years? I'm just seeing 20 here. Other 20 and other fire reserve at January the 1st is 20, so there was only 20 from last year.
$233,000.
Go ahead. 20, okay, that sounds better, okay.
The 20 that you see is what we as West Grey have put aside. We only just started that last year, knowing that they were probably going to purchase a truck. So that's just from West Grey that we hold in another fire reserve. The board itself is using $215,000 of their reserve, which is about 230, I think you said. So they're using $215,000 of that against the purchase of the truck at $396,000. But that $20,000 is what we had set aside last year, and then we had again budgeted for that this year.
So can I ask what kind of a truck this is? Like, this isn't a ladder truck, like an aerial?
No. Pumper tanker.
Bumper tanker. Right. That's what I thought, but I realized, and I guess I knew we had a $400,000 truck in Durham, but we only have one of them, and I guess the other two, I'm not sure what they're worth, but I don't think they're worth $400,000. I just wondered why this one's so expensive. Go ahead, John.
John, Councillor Eccles.
We used to be able to buy fire trucks with a cab on it and pile a bunch of guys in the back and drive to a fire. We can no longer do that. We need to have seating for 4 to 6 people in the cab of the truck. It's a liability thing.
I understand that.
And when you put the price, the difference between the price of a 2-person truck or a 4-person truck is $30,000 to $40,000 to put that specialized cab on the truck to carry firemen. Or we go back to a 2-man cab and then go buy a pickup that the guys can follow the fire truck, and we're still looking at $30,000 to $40,000.
Other questions? Mr. Rapke?
So Kerry, how much more above the budget is this than what we set?
If what we've got in our 2014 budget is $160,000. If we were to use our other fire reserve of $20,000, we have the Elmwood Hydro Reserve. If we completely drain that, we are at $197,000, so we're $60,000 short.
So 60 short.
That's if we use all the reserves.
All the reserves.
This budget's $123,000.
120,000, yeah. So when we went through our own fire departments though, we didn't do that, right? I thought when, we spent a lot of time getting the budget ready, not just through all the fire groups, but everybody else came in and we stayed to like close to zero. What is this percent-wise? Like, there's another couple points on top of our tax thing that we spent days and weeks deliberating, and now we've got to throw a couple percent back on top.
Well, only in the capital.
But it's still money.
Yeah,
though, isn't
it is, but our operating is actually a little less. So
Yes. Oh, I understand
operating
that.
is less, but
I
the
like that
capital,
number.
yeah, but the capital has always been something that we knew was going to be larger because we've talked about this truck for 6 months. So the problem is, as John said, was the truck came in. We had $350,000, I believe, in for the truck originally. Yes, but the truck has come in at a larger price. But they can't live without some sort of new truck because their other truck is their frontline thing is a 94.
Sure. And so does that, what about financing though? Like,
We
is that
can
all
finance.
is that all in the calculations or is that not in the calculations?
No, this is a cash payment thing.
Yeah, we need to figure out how we are financing our share. The board cannot get a loan. It's the municipality. They're asking us for $250,000. We have to figure out how we are financing that, whether we want to loan or get a loan or whatever, but we would have to do our share.
Carol?
I just wanted to point out, if we drain that Elmwood Hydro, that's what we've been using for capital needs at the community center for the last several years. And there's only, what, 17 something left? So just keep in mind, if we drain that, then that's going to be an addition each year of the levy.
Absolutely. But this is a $123,000 addition than what we had anticipated when we set our budget. Councillor Rathke first.
Is this going to be every year now, or what? Is this a one-time offer?
Their capital breakdown, basically, their regular gear and capital items total 34,000, and we're about 20,000 share of that. Last year it was 42,000 and our share was about 23,000. So that's about the same amount for the rest of their other capital gear. The truck, our share is 108,000 for the new truck, and the tanker retrofit or refurbishment or whatever, that's another, we've got another 17. They're budgeting 30, so our share is 17,880. So with the two trucks in there, we're up 60,000 more.
So 60,000 year
More than
over
we
year.
budgeted.
No, just this year.
Just
only?
this year, yeah. They've got
And
their
then
10-year
next year-
capital.
Okay, so then next year we go back to what we were paying before, which, like putting in reserve, is that how that works?
Or pay back our loan, or pay back our...
Deputy Mayor Bell, John?
Yeah. Carrie, is it possible to borrow from a reserve?
If you so choose.
Which reserve would you suggest?
That's what I was gonna say. Which one are you going?
Good, you've asked the next question. Carrie?
We have general capital reserves that we have set aside that we can, if you choose to use them and want to pay them back.
How much is Brockton willing to pay us back as a percentage? Can we charge 10% on this one? No. This is just our own share, so normally we charge 3%, isn't it? Give or take? Yeah. Cemetery board, that's what's been. Bev?
And charges so we could apportion? Not for fire?
There's nothing designated for Elmwood, no. Mark?
Just might be for John or
Bev?
I don't think so. Yeah. Do we have to buy it? Is like, are we committed to buying it? Like, is it where we can't use it anymore after this year, or is there more time?
It's a 94, and frontline fire trucks have a 20-year life expectancy. The problem is, we haven't ordered it yet. We've said are interested in it. We haven't placed an order in it yet till we have the funding in place, of course. But the earliest we could get it is 38 weeks. Well, do the math. It's going to be in 2015 before we get the truck.
But we have to have it.
Yes.
Go ahead,
The 94, they don't feel is going to pass the test this year. It was very questionable last year, and I think they had to do a few things, but they're really not sure it'll pass the test this year. So.
Is the 94 going to be traded in?
Yes.
Or what's happening? Oh.
And there's.
What are we getting for that? Because I didn't see that in
Well, yeah, I think it's in here for at about $5,000. They don't, well, that's the minimum.
I don't think it's in there.
That's the minimum amount.
I don't see it in there.
Oh yeah, the revenue from the sale of the truck, they're saying minimum of 5,000, but that can directly be put back in, but they didn't want to put that in case they didn't get anything.
You said a minimum of 5, so I'm saying, okay, that should
Well,
be
we
a
can
minimum
put the
of 5,
in.
but it's not there yet.
Did
Like scrap
Sharon,
prices are going up.
did Sharon do another layout for you? Because she was supposed to do an update on the budget that was going to...
Just the one that was certified.
Okay, so that's
You got 5,000 showing here.
Elmwood Fire donation.
That was a tanker, not
No,
a
that's-
frontline pumper.
That could be it there.
Right.
Elmwood miscellaneous revenue of 5,000?
That's in your operations, I would think that's your highway fires.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Where's your capital then?
That's in your operations, it would be down in the capital.
Here, capital down here.
Okay, so it was supposed to be put in at 5,000, so,
Yeah, it's not there.
okay.
Mark?
Well, so based on what Councilor Arco said, I don't think we have a choice. Is that like we're seeking council direction here, but I don't think we have a choice. We have to buy a fire truck. So the only other choice is either we buy a new one or buy a used one, which we've done before, but I never understand why we can't do that. But anyway, so if we need a new one, like is there any point in discussing this any further, or do we just say we have to find the money? Show me the money, just like Jerry Maguire.
Councillor Marshall, Don, you haven't, time for you to chirp in.
Well, they looked at a fire truck between 5 and 10 years old, that's used. A used 5 or a 10-year-old truck. That'll be good for another 10 years. And if not, then take some of the bells and whistles off the new truck and knock $100,000 off it. Because I'm sure there's bells and whistles on this truck that's coming that does not necessarily have to be on there. But there's lots of used fire trucks out there. There's, down in the States, they're closing fire halls as we speak because they can't afford to run them. So these trucks are going back.
True, madam. Oh, I guess I'll ask a question. How large was the tender package that went out for this truck?
How large?
About 86 pages large? That's got a lot of bells on it.
Well, no, you know what tender packages are like. I think they're like,
I know what tender packages are like.
if
Does
you'd
the
like
board?
to see the tender package, we can certainly get it for you.
I wouldn't need to see it again.
Actually, there was a used one submitted. And it came in 15,000 more than the new one. Because it had more bells and whistles, because it was already built, right? That's the trouble. When you get them like that and sometimes they submit them, but they have more on them than the guys really want, and they ended up being more money, because there was actually a used one that did come in at 410,000 plus.
Okay. Any other questions before I introduce the motion? I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the 2014 Elmwood Fire Department budget as presented by the Elmwood Fire Department Joint Board of Management. Any questions on the motion? Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Well, I seconded it to get it on the floor, but I'm not sure of procedure here. If we approve this, then we're going to have a discussion as to how it's going to be financed? Like
Well,
by this motion, we're saying, yes, we're going to buy it. We need to approve that budget. We need that truck, and then we'll deal with how we're going to finance it?
Or we can give direction on how we want to finance it through the discussion here on the motion that's on the floor.
That might be preferable.
I'm kind of why I suggested it, yes. Carrie may have a couple of ideas on doing that. Carrie, have you got any comments?
You had mentioned about borrowing from one of our reserves earlier, if that's what you want to do. If we, 60,000 is what we're short if you want to drain the Elmwood Hydro Reserve. If you don't want to touch that, then you're about 80,000 short. So at $20,000 a year, if that's what our transfer to reserve was, that we had started for this, you're looking 3 or 4 years to pay ourselves back from our, replenish our contributions to reserves.
Yeah, give it a little bit more than 3 years or 4 years, whichever way. John? Councillor Eccles?
If you believe all the money experts and our dollar drops to 82, 83 cents, somewhere in that, we're going to lose another $20,000 this year on the fire truck. We need an answer, so we can either go ahead or not, or it's just going to cost us that much more money.
Okay. Carol?
I'd just like to ask Carrie's opinion whether we're better to borrow from our own reserves, or are we better to go to the bank or to Ontario Infrastructure? What's your recommendation? Which source?
We don't have to charge ourselves interest if we borrow from our reserve, or you will pay interest if you get a loan.
It's not going to harm our operations by borrowing that much. We will be
From our capital reserve. It limits what you have available to draw on for other purposes, but it's there.
Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Would the mover and seconder be in favor of amending this to say that we would borrow from our general capital reserve at the tune of $20,000 a year and leave, or sorry, bolder the amount and pay it back over 4 years, leave the amount there from the Elmwood Hydro? I don't think we should drain that.
Right.
Or you use part of it, but I think we got to leave something in there.
And can I ask what you think you want to leave it in there for?
Seems like stuff breaks down at that community center.
We have
Go ahead,
used
Ken.
it continually over the years, Mr. Mayor, drawing it down for that community center, and it's not hitting our levy.
Right?
And obviously, and as John said, there is always something happening there. And it's nice to have that buffer in case something does come up, like we're having trouble again right now with the geothermal, so.
Carrie?
We have used that reserve for the last fire truck in Elmwood as well. Just
Councillor Rocky-Murray?
Do we need to keep all 17? Can we take 10, maybe 15, or whatever, leave some? Like, this is a lot of money. I'm struggling with the fact that we're sitting here on a 20-year, we knew that this fire truck was no good in a year, and we're held hostage that we have to buy it. Like, this is astounding.
Not really. This has been discussed over the last 4 or 5 years.
But why isn't it in the budget, though?
Putting in reserves, and it's a place that you can take out of reserves to keep your budget at a level so that it only goes up 1 or 2 or 3%. If we were putting in reserves, what we should be putting in reserves every year, our budget would be up 6, 8, 10% every year. Because we need, we have 5 fire departments that are going to need trucks, so we should be putting in every single year about $60,000, $80,000
That's right, too.
into some sort of reserve for fire, and we don't do it because we try to pull it down to keep the budget at level. So this is what happens. It happened in Durham when we bought the 2 trucks at the same time. We bought, we've had to do this every other time as well.
It's just that at this point in time, though, we don't have a choice. There's no maneuvering left. We have to buy the truck. That's all I'm saying.
Because we
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but It's just, we set our budget in January, now here we are looking for $120,000, and it's only 3 months later.
80,000.
No, we're looking,
It's 120, it's
let's be fair, we're
136
looking at
to
123,000.
Yeah.
We have a couple of reserves we can draw out of unexpectedly to drop it to either 60 or 80,000. But it's 123 that we're kind of shocked with here. In all fairness, the Elmwood Board has 238,000 or 240?
33,000, I believe.
230,000 that
In reserve.
we thought, you know, I think that that's where the thought was, that that would cover off the truck.
Just didn't, I guess.
There was a large tender went out, and the tender came back in at not 350 like they thought, so that we would hit the municipality for 60,000 instead of 120. It, when it come back in, and for reasons that Mr. Eccles has said, John, Councillor Eccles, we're at 390 some odd thousand for this truck, not the 350 that was kind of budgeted for. The other thing is, going forward next year, could we ask that the Elmwood Fire Board, in connection with ours, kind of has their budget a little earlier?
We can try as long as we can make it to the meetings. We canceled 2 meetings this year, this season, this winter, because of
Winter.
road conditions.
Because of winter.
And we couldn't, yeah, we had
That's
2
it.
scheduled budget meetings, and neither of them happened because we couldn't get there.
So,
Mark?
so the financing street, because I didn't quite, there's been a lot of numbers flying around, so we're using the 20 for the other fire reserve, is that a yes? Or is that still a proposal? We've talked about the Elmwood Hydro Reserve. Let's say for fun we took 10 out of there. What does that mean then if we had to finance the balance, Carrie? How much is that per year for the next 3 or 4 years? 20,000 for 3 years? For 4 years?
You're probably 3.5.
For 4 years.
Because you're taking about half of that.
Okay. So that's
hydro
20,000 is
reserve.
the difference in the budget for this year then, is what we're talking about, is that right? Because we have to start paying back
Yeah.
this year. If would it be this year or next year, I guess? Maybe it'd be next year.
It'd be next year.
Because of the lead time on the fire truck then. So it's not a hit to this year's budget.
We
Maybe.
just need to
Yeah,
have
we have
it.
to
It would
set
be
it up.
small. It'd be small,
Yeah.
maybe the last couple of months of the year.
Yeah, we'd have to set it up, but the cash wouldn't actually need to flow.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would set up as a commitment and accrued
Okay,
amount.
great, thanks.
What does with any of these trucks you're going to need, is it 50% down?
No, there's nothing down on this particular truck. It's cash at delivery. We did check that, so we don't
Okay.
have to play any financing
Okay.
this year. Or, well, till it comes in 38, 40 weeks from now.
Okay. Mark?
If we say yes tonight, do we lock the price in now or when we take delivery?
This same discussion will have to happen in Brockton Council, and I don't think their next meeting is till the 24th or something later in the month. We're still within, when they send the tender package out, they asked for 60 days, and all 5 people complained that 60 days is unreasonable. They wanted a 30-day, but we insisted on 60. So we do have still a couple weeks window opportunity to lock that price in, yes.
Add to that, we do have a Elmwood Fire Board meeting on the 25th to discuss this, because at that point then both councils will have met, had their budget, and we can approve that tender and lock in the price at this particular time.
Should probably just remain silent on the issues I've just gotten here, but I find it extremely difficult to just be quiet. You might have noticed that. I am diametrically opposed to the process that Carrie is proposing. I do believe we need to withdraw it from reserves, but I do believe we need to charge interest on the reserves, because those reserves were not set aside just for being set aside to have. Those reserves are set aside for specific issues. So if we're going to finance it, we would be paying interest on it as well, and I believe we need to pay interest on the money we borrow in order to recoup the money we could have had by investing that money. So that's item number one. Two, there's a couple other caveats we need to say or incorporate into the resolution if you're going to pass this evening. One is that our friends in Brockton concur and that they come up with funding this year to move ahead with the project as well. Perhaps we might put in a clause that we could have a special meeting to confirm this at our upcoming meeting on March the 31st. That would allow staff the time to put a proposal together, find out from our friends in Brockton whether or not they're not going to support this process. But that way, everything is in black and white. We know where we stand, we know where the money's coming from, and we have a plan in place to put it back in place. And let me remind Council that $60,000 borrowed today in dollars in 3 years' time is significantly more than $60,000. So I believe that's something that we need to take into account from a business perspective to move forward. So those are just my comments on the issue, and thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Chair.
Okay. There's been some suggestions for amendments to the motion. Would the mover and seconder, which I believe is Mr. Thompson and Ms. Lawrence, accept those amendments as or do we want to put the amendments down? Well, I've heard a few of them. One, subject to approval from Brockton Council as well too. Two, that we borrow from reserve, and that'd be our capital reserve, Carrie? General capital reserve. I've heard 60,000, 70,000, and 80,000. So I'm looking at to council to finance the unfinanced portion of this budget. Mr. Bell.
Well, I like Mr. Rapke's idea of taking 10,000 out of the Elmwood and leaving 7 there for them for the community center and some other items. But I think, yes, some of it should come out of there, recognizing, of course, what Mr. CAO said. Yes, I think it's good business that we charge interest on the money. It'd be just the same as any other capital purchase any other place. So I think that's good business.
You're suggesting then, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that it be $70,000 from general capital? That's leaving 10,000 from the Elmwood Community Hydro or utilities?
Take 10 out, yes. 10, yeah.
That would be
Take
10 out of that
70.
budget, or
Yeah.
that reserve, sorry.
I think that's about as good as we're going to get.
And that there be our general interest payment is roughly 3%, Carrie? That's what we've had in the past. It'd be a 3%. I should ask Carrie to invest some of my money at the credit union. I think better than 3% I'm getting there, but thanks, Carrie. Bev, Councillor Cutting.
There's also the 5,000 from the sale of the other truck that can, at least 5,000 that can go back in as well.
Well, before we get, okay. The mover and seconder agreeable with those amendments? Yes. And Councillor Cutting has asked for one more, which would be another 5,000. So instead of saying 70,000, it would be down to 65.
We share in that, though.
10,000. You may not even get that. 10,000 worth of scrap. Whatever. Probably be used up by a piece of equipment. That's what.
Could we say that any of that go back into the capital reserve for Elmwood? John, is that what you were going to say?
That's what I was going to suggest, because we're not sure of the figure, so we'll just put it back into reserves, whatever we do get for it. The one the one guy told us it was worth $16,000, and the next guy tells you it's worth $2,500. So I'm not just sure where we're going with it. So whatever money, we'll just put back into reserve.
It's not so much about what it's worth, it's what they're willing to pay to take it off your hands. Okay? Any other comments? So the mover and seconder are fine with those amendments as proposed? I'm going to introduce the motion. I have it moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the 2014 Elmwood Fire Department budget as presented by the Elmwood Fire Department Joint Board of Management. We've already introduced that part. The friendly amendments will be subject to approval of Brockton Council and to be financed in the amount of $10,000 from the Elmwood Hydro Reserve and $70,000 from the General Capital Reserve at the general interest rate of 3%. I don't know where you've got that lump sum in there, but we'll say 3%, I think is what you were looking at there, Mark.
That's right.
3,000%, I didn't think was quite right. Any other questions and comments on the amended motion? Anything from staff? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. We'll wait to see what our partner in Brockton says to that. If I'm not mistaken, Kerry, we're still 59% owner of Elmwood? 59.6? Thank you. The auditors must be here this week. You're very precise. And for council, yes, the auditors are here this week. Okay? Any other questions or comments from Kerry? You got no comments for us, Kerry? All right. Councillor Marshall, Don, go ahead.
Just the first thing on the next report here, Kerry, about the financing for the $40,000 for the bases of for the wind turbines. You know what that is in a tax amount per turbine?
Not off the top of my head. I can grab the rates though and get that for you. Yeah, I just don't know, can't think of it off the top what the rate is. Yeah, and you're looking at what our share would be, or total, or both? Like there's county, school, us.
I guess our share.
Yeah,
Our
okay.
share out of that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll pull that and bring that in.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Kerry before she goes off and finds an industrial $40,000 of industrial taxation? Okay. Then getting down, okay, thanks, Kerry. If you want to go and grab those numbers, and we'll jump then. Mark, you have your first one there is on that, so we'll ask Kerry to get those numbers for us. Second one is on the Council Remuneration Committee. We had this out once and come back the second time, asked to be put out again, because maybe in that weather people didn't see it or something of that nature. And the second application, we have 4 people that have come back and said that they would sit on that remuneration and bring back a report before, I think that's the idea, is anyways before the fall election for council to look at. And Mark has those. Is there any questions on the 4 names that are being proposed for that committee? I hear on this side, sign them up quick before they change their minds. So here it is. You put forward the motion then, Mr. Bell.
They're very capable.
Any other comments? All of them are obviously residents of West Grey. And Boyd Caldwell has worked on that committee before. He was on the He was the one that had submitted his name earlier. The other 3 have come in since then.
Excellent, nice people.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce the motion moved by John A. Bell and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby appoints the following individuals to the West Grey Remuneration Committee to be confirmed by bylaw: John S. Black, Boyd Caldwell, John McPhee, and Brenda Shank. Are there any questions or comments on this motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. And Mark, if you don't mind, we'll go down to the CAOs. Unless there's questions for Mark, we'll wait for Carrie to come back with some numbers from that first one. Oh, I'm sorry. I've only got the 1 page here up. You're right, there was a couple more here. You're not off that easy, Mark. Not deferring. The next one is the town of Aurora. And that's theirs on the private members bill to recall elected officials. Mark's recommendation is received for information. Any comments or questions on that one? Well, we'll look forward to see what they come back with. The next one, Mark, Carrie, you've got back. We'll go back to number 1 then. Carrie, if you've got some numbers for us.
$450.
So approximately on $40,000 worth of assessment on a industrial wind turbine, we would have $450 for West Grey's share per turbine, per the 40,000. Well, I guess if we want to, maybe that's something you should issue the building permit when they've spent $40,000, then they can come in for the next permit for the next 40,000 or however much dollars they're spending. Any further comment on it? So Don, that gives you the answer of what our portion is of that. The county's portion would be, just to give us numbers.
295. Schools 636. You're looking at 1380 roughly for
of total tax.
Yeah, that's using 2013 because we haven't actually set our tax rates yet, but 636 roughly. So it'll be a little bit better ballpark. That's going to get you
about the $1,400. Mark has a motion here, support the multiple municipal wind turbine working group, asking the Minister of Finance to have impact or give impact to the authority. I think that's more to it, giving impact to the authority to charge more to the fair market value than a fixed value to what is in the Green Energy Act at this point in time, the 40,000. So there's a motion there to support that from the multiple municipals, so we'll ask somebody to bring it forward. I have a motion moved by David Molson and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby supports the position of the multi-municipal wind turbine working group outlined in the group's letter dated January 31st, 2014 to the Minister of Finance, expressing dissatisfaction with the MPAC base assessment value of $40,000 per installed municipal wind for industrial wind turbines, or sorry, installed megawatt for industrial wind turbines. And further that a copy of this resolution with supporting letter be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Finance, local MPPs, and the Multi-Municipal Wind Turbine Working Group. I just wanted to say that's $40,000 per installed megawatt of industrial wind turbines. If I'm not mistaken, the ones for proposed here in West Grey were I thought there were 1.8. I think it's about 1.8 because there's 14 for 23 megawatts. It's 23 megawatts is the total. So 23 times the 450, that's what we would be getting. Yeah, 8,000, yeah. But what you pay for your house, Councillor Rapke. Okay. Any other comments on the motion? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor of support? Any opposed? That is carried. All right. Thank you, Carrie. If you get off quickly, you can go and find out what the curling scores are at the rink. Thank you, Carrie. Mark, your next one was on the proposed advance votes for the 2014 election. You've got some advance voting days that you wanted to put forward in a bylaw for consideration on April the 7th. Is there any comments from council before Mark prepares that bylaw? Councillor Eccles. John.
The way those numbers climb, if we have 4 days, there may not be anybody left to vote on election day.
We would hope then that the results would be out a lot quicker. Carol? Councillor Lawrence?
Thank you. I just wondered if he had, Mark, if you'd considered on the Wednesday one, going 1 to 8 rather than 10 to 5, because that would give you, people coming back from work and so on, that would give them 2 evenings where they could get in. Otherwise, you've got 3, I think, from 10 to 5. It just would give, it gives a little bit more flexibility, people working out of town or,
Any other comments on that? Having 2 from 1 till 8 and 2, 10 to 5.
10 to 5, yeah.
That's what it says.
Everybody's
No,
kind
no,
of
this
nodding
was
in
going to be
agreement
10
to
to
that. I
5.
guess we'll see that.
Oh, I thought there was 2.
Okay.
10 to 5, 1 to 8. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. I thought
All right. Yep, Mark has noted that and we're going to bring it forward. Any other comments or questions on this? So continuing to try and be as acceptable and accessible for all voters. Okay. All right. Seems like everybody's in agreement then, Mark, for having that extra day and changing that time. Any other questions for Mark? No? Okay. Thank you, Mark. Then that brings us down to the CEO and Deputy Clerk. Larry.
Thank you very much.
First one's yours.
Item number 1 is just to thank Council for the opportunity to attend the Rural Ontario Municipal Association and the Ontario Good Road Association Conference. I attended a number of sessions while I was there. I did bring the conference agenda. If anyone wishes to have a look through, there was a number of interesting sessions, and as usual, they run multi-sessions at the same time or concurrent workshops. So we try to spread ourselves out and attend as many as possible to ensure that we get good broad coverage from the information that's available. Excellent opportunity to network, and as you can see, I kind of tended to lean towards the asset management end of things while I was at that conference, so that's for Council's information. If I may be so brazen, I might jump over to my third comment. probably because the next one item is probably going to generate significant discussion. But I'm requesting that meet with council and the senior management team to discuss the current status of the 2011 and 2014 strategic plan. I don't think we need to set a day aside, but just an opportunity for us to get together and chat to ensure that the priorities and goals that were laid out in that plan in 2011 are still valid and still the primary goals that council wants staff to work towards attaining in the time that's left in this term. So I'd respectfully request a date, perhaps even an hour or so before the next committee of the whole session, or at a date suitable for council. I just put that out there and would like to establish a date in the relatively near future so that we can move forward.
I think that would be, it's always good to at least monitor that, review it, make sure that the strategic directions and the plan are still concurrent with the focus of council. Larry, as Mr. Adams has said before, the next committee of the whole meeting, so you're looking at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 till 8?
If that's the time council so deems prudent, then I shall endeavor to be here, sir.
I think the next committee of the whole, as Councillor Thompson's whispering to me, is at 1 o'clock, so we could say meet at, what's the thought, 11 or 10? I'm going to even suggest 10:30, give us an hour and a half, and then have lunch brought in. Still be part of the committee of the whole meeting, I would. Yeah, just saying we'd start earlier to 10:30 was what I had suggested, and 10:30 to 12, and then break for lunch. Just to review that. Okay? 31st of March. Okay, Larry?
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and members of council. I appreciate that. The next item that I have before you is a proposed report in regards to the Grey County Transportation Master Plan. There's a slight summary there, but I left a number of options for council to consider. This is my first proverbial kick at the can, and it stems from a discussion with senior management, well, actually the CIOs from the group of 4, as opposed to a gang of 4. And I also took the liberty of speaking with the Director of Public Works and Infrastructure upon my return, and modified the suggested recommendations to more match the feelings of both myself and Mr. Gould as well. So I put that for council, and I look for direction from you, Your Worship.
Going to open it up for discussion. That's what we're here and looking for. Does anybody have any comments on this discussion? Direction back to our CEO. Councillor Lawrence, Carol.
Well, I just wondered, it was rather a lengthy report, and to have some good discussion around it, I wonder if we might defer it to Committee of the Whole during Ken's, when Ken
Told you
is
we
here.
were going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning here pretty soon. Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you very much. It would have been my preference to have brought it to Committee of the Whole, where it's more open and opportunity for discussion. The only thing that was the impetus on me bringing it forward this evening was the fact that there was an imposed limit, allegedly, of Friday, the 14th of March, to have our comments back to the county. I've spoken to staff at the county, and they indicate that the report will be going from them to County Council committee, I believe, next month in April. So we do have some time, but if that's the direction that council wishes to take, then I apologize for the length of the report. I promise future reports will not be this long, but I thought it was prudent that you had the background information in order to make an informed decision.
So Councillor Lawrence has asked that we put that off to committee and bring it forward, Committee of the Whole, with through Ken's report, or I guess through your report, Larry, at that point in time. Council have any comments on it right now? Mark, Councilor
I
Radke.
just looking at the recommendation, it says that this issue be deferred back to staff for further review. These are choices, right? So.
They were alternatives that I was offering council, that's correct, yes.
Yeah. So did you feel that there's a lot more, benefit from having staff review it further? Is that like if we chose that alternative, what would?
I think there's some rather long-term implications, both financial and resource-wise, that would need to be discussed at a bit more length than just make the decision tonight. In my opinion, one of the suggestions is that we look at devolving the county road system down to the lower tier municipalities, realigning the bridges and structures within the county to the go between the county level and the local municipal level. So there are a number of very significant decisions that need to come forward in this, and I do believe it warrants some discussion rather than just a knee-jerk reaction. So if you wanted more information back, we'd be happy to look at it and bring it back, but I wanted to make sure it was in front of you so that you know there's these decisions to be made, or recommendations or direction to be received.
Well, we know that somebody had the toilet seat up. Okay, we're fine with that. Now it's back down. That's what that was, yeah. Any other comments on the comments towards the master plan? If there, go ahead.
Well, just this has been tossed around the county a little bit, obviously. This is going to take a lot of work to get organized, and yes, it's not going to be done very quickly, as far as, unless somebody's got a magic wand that I don't know about. But as far as bridges and roads, especially, who's going to plow the county roads in the wintertime is a significant thing to look at, and a lot of things. So it's going to take some careful preparation, and it's going to get beat up, and you're going to hear this in the news a lot. So there's, as far as comments go, West Grey has significant concerns.
Larry?
Quote unquote.
In going through the numbers, I realized how long it took for the discussion this evening on some additional funding for the fire truck. We are talking mega millions of dollars in regards to the transfer and devolution and realignment of who does what in regards to infrastructure in the county. And I noticed in a couple of spots West Grey was being saddled with, I believe, about the third highest amount of roads, kilometers, that could potentially be devolved or realigned, or however you want to look at it, but significant dollars. So time and discussion is warranted, in my opinion.
Okay. I think one of the points in here was the connecting links. Certainly been a concern for most municipalities on who's got control, how we operate within that one. If there's anything in here that I'm hoping that the lower tiers would support, is that connecting links. Any MTO highway at this point in time, we have control over that and are able to work in agreement as far as the snow removal on that. For years it was with MTO, and now it was with IMOS, and that's worked out very well. But it allows us in our urban areas to have control over access and not be caught up in more multi-layered. This certainly would give us, if anything, put a comment back that connecting link be downloaded, I guess is the best way to say it, is downloaded quickly or immediately, so that we do have control over that in our urban centers as far as coordinating work, if we do have any underground work or whatnot within that, access and looking at entrances onto that, and working with our property owners and not having to deal with, and it comes right down to our November 11th Legion and our parades in Durham and Ayton and Newstead. Elmwood as well coming forward here of coordinating that with the groups, the volunteer groups that are putting it on, and they've got to go to at least 2 different tiers to get approval for a Santa Claus parade. So in doing this, I think that it would certainly alleviate a lot of problem, and it would be a great grab of low-lying fruit at this point in time. If there was anything within this one that can be supported and grabbed off, and it's certainly been a suggestion through the transportation master plan and from the consultants, is that is something that should be given up very quickly and easily. So if there was confirmation, we could certainly get that back to the county quickly enough, and maybe even for our upcoming season, and that we could look at some of that stuff on our connecting links and get it as a one-stop shopping. So if I can ask that our member on the transportation committee say that is one ask that we could see coming forward out of this quickly. Mr. Bell, you could carry that forward to the transportation and maybe have staff move that up as quickly as possible as well too.
We do have a meeting on Thursday, so that will be brought up.
Okay, all right, and then we'll look forward to the rest of the extended conversation. Is there any thought as to, you said multi-million dollars, is there any narrower window on that, Mr. CEO or Mr. Transportation, of what we're looking at of taking over roads? He seems to be pretty far back there. You don't get much support there, Larry.
I am many things, but to hide behind is one of them that's Ken's already found. So I would say, based on the numbers, and I did review them this afternoon, the Transportation Master Plan and all the reports are on the county website for those of you that would like to take a look at them. But the number of in excess of $114 million, I believe, for roads, and in excess of that, it was over 200 million, I believe, for roads and bridges. And unlike my opinion, where I believe the responsibility should be at the upper tier for bridges and structures with 3 meters length, the county report indicated it was a 6 meter length, which is double, which means there will be more culverts and more leeways and that sort of thing, which will become the responsibility of our level of government. So significant money dollars, and if you are sleeping well at night, have a look at the report. I'm sure that will change your stance quite quickly.
From a lower tier, it certainly will. Now, as Deputy Mayor Bell has said, this is from a consultant's perspective on where the county should be. Certainly not been approved or accepted yet by County Council. And we seek direction from our council here as representatives on County Council. Mr. Marshall, Don.
One thing that would happen though, or should happen, is that if the roads were downloaded to the municipality, that the same standards that we maintain now on our roads would be maintained on them. So Grey Road 3 would be great. It would be plowed at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's what time of the day it'd be plowed at. It wouldn't be plowed 5 times a day like the county's doing. And the potholes would form the same as on our regular roads.
I hope we wouldn't lower our standards down to what the county is right now.
You see our roads out there?
You've seen some of the county roads. Some of that is through minimum maintenance standards and from traffic. And Larry or Ken, do you want to speak to that a little more knowledgeable?
Yeah, the minimum maintenance standards regulates how much maintenance you have on how many times or how much control you have over winter maintenance, or the time you have to make a repair at any time of the year. So you take Grey Road 4 here, you just start plowing it once a day. I think with the number of accidents we have on this road now, you'd be your insurance company would probably be chasing you somehow. So I think you'd have to follow the minimum maintenance standards.
I could see the minimum maintenance on Highway 4 be a lot different than on Gray Road 3, Bruce Road 10, and Highway 6. When you have one main artery going from Durham to Owen Sound, you don't need two other ones side by side maintained at the same amount. If you were to stop maintaining Gray Road 3, then you would decrease your population of cars on Gray Road 3 because they'd all be getting over on Highway 6 where they belong. So the Gray County's made their own animal. They've tried to build highways out of county roads where they should not have ever done that. Because back in the 70s and 80s, money was very free, but now that money is not free, and we're finding that our infrastructure is built way bigger than what we can afford to maintain, now the proper governments are starting to download this stuff onto the lower tiers, and we'll start going back to where we should have been in the 80s, 70s.
Councillor Eccles? John? Oh, you're not?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else on this? Mr. Bell?
Well, just one final word for myself. I guess, yeah, this is a consultant's view and a consultant's report, and like everything that's in consultant's reports, we, as far as verbatim goes, I don't think we're going to take everything out of the consultant report and implement it tomorrow. So some of these things, like it says in Larry's report here, are going to be, next 5-10 years, but yeah, we got to start planning for them today. Just another little interesting tidbit. We had a presentation at Social Services of Gray County the other day. If we had to do everything that we're supposed to put away $20 million from the county over the next 6 years to have enough money to improve our housing standards on some of those housing projects in Owen Sound around the county. So that's $120 million. So if we did all that, I think everybody would be broke.
Well, the yearly budget of the county is $115 million right now, so that puts it somewhat into perspective of what we need to look at. Okay. All right. Because of the time, I'm going to call this one off, and we'll look forward to that intense discussion at Committee of the Whole. Right? Because this certainly needs some direction and understanding of where we're going. Okay. What's the other one? Is that about it, Larry? Any questions of our CEO? All right. Then we'll move down to bylaws. The first one is bylaw number 21, 2014, for third reading. This was a bylaw on a land use agreement between the Municipality of West Grey, and obviously it's been read the first and second time. Now, procedure. Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion on this?
I would
Councillor
move we table this until further discussion.
Okay, you're wanting not to introduce it for the third time. What, I guess I'd look for, what discussion are we looking for here?
Well,
what information do we need to bring back?
I suggested earlier that we, a couple of councillors and some staff meet with a couple of Lions and together look at some other locations and understand from them why they're so definitely against behind the arena. To me, it seems to be the place to go. I mean, everything is there. We've certainly got a number of residents that are not in favor of that location, so I can't see us just pushing this through without a little bit more thought given to it.
Councillor Rapke, Mark?
Yeah, so everything I heard is basically what Carol said is, I think everyone's in favor of the project. The only thing is the location, and I heard I think it was Councillor Thompson mentioned behind the arena. I guess for me, I'd like to know why can it not go behind the arena? Like, what's the specific reason? I've heard there may be, you know, some issues from Saugeen Valley. I just want to know why it can't go there, because that seemed to be, when I saw that mentioned, there's a lot of head shaking in favor of it and whatnot. So, and I know, I think we discussed this at a meeting and I wasn't here for that one, so I don't know if it was covered off, but I'd really like to know why it cannot go there. I guess that would be the question.
I think the biggest one is not so much behind the arena, was a slightly new one on the, above the hill. Below the hill, it's because of the conservation, because of being right on the floodplain and a structure. But I think the one that Carol is mentioning is above the hill, basically on where the steps are, in that area going down to the lower pavilion down at the bottom of the hill there. Rob?
Yeah, if I can try to answer that. I did ask a couple of Lions Club members, and the issue with it above on the hill at the back of the arena is the smell from the sewage plant. Is why they don't like it there, and that's the reason why. Other than that, that's it.
Carol?
It doesn't always smell the nicest where they're talking about either, for reasons I won't mention, but there are odors there too. And this is going to be a municipal facility, so I really think the municipality should have some say in it, not just be dictated by the service club. I mean, we're going to be ultimately responsible for it, and the reasons that I've heard don't answer my questions why it can't be there. I mean, there's oversight there, it's part of the arena, you've got parking, you've got lights, you've got hydro, and it would serve other purposes, like when there's the fair or ball games or whatever, people could sit in it, people with kids or older people.
Go there for those events anyway, so why is the odor an issue?
Well,
All those things you just mentioned. Go on.
I know.
Turn your mic on. You wanted to talk anyways. Go ahead, Marty.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, all those events, I mean, I've never heard, you guys know better than me because you use the facility more than I have. I've never heard that come up on ball games or whatever, people that I've talked to anyway. But so I guess so we've kind of, you've answered some of those, but I'd just like to know specifically what's preventing it from going there, because in fairness to the people that were here tonight, this council is here today, and we're saying it's going to be restricted to certain types of use. But that's not to say that in the next council or the one after that, that they want to open that up more and make the terms of use bigger. Like, there's nothing that we can do to prevent that, to allay those people's fears. So, you know, it is a somewhat of a concern that we put that there in 10 years. Maybe that council does let them make more noise or do things that use it a lot more than Sunday nights. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'd be more in favor, you know, again, if it could go. The location seems to be the hang up. So if there's a specific reason why it can't go behind the arena, then that would be what I'd be interested in.
Okay. Bev? Councillor Cunning.
When you think of, you know, gazebos and things like that, and music in the park, I always think of small town America, because every small park in America has a gazebo where they have music playing on a Saturday afternoon. The kids are playing ball in the backfield.
You know, watched Andy and Mayberry.
Well, I do, but that's what they're trying to produce here. That's what they're trying to get, a community system where they have, you know, that small town feel in a gazebo where the Silver Threads are singing to the seniors. But always they're in parks. So let's keep it where it should be, and that's by the arena, in some kind of park already existing, you know, something like that, where it's not going to cause all kinds of issues.
Deputy Mayor Bell, John.
Quick question. So town owns the arena, obviously. Do we own to the top of the hill? Do we
Town
own?
does not own the arena.
No.
Owns the arena, but
Yes.
doesn't own the property it's on. Let's be clear on that.
Just the top of the hill, but yeah,
No,
agriculture.
doesn't own the top.
It
The
doesn't.
agriculture owns from Sadler Street.
Don't think so, Mr. Mayor.
So
I
we've got
believe
enough.
that was given to the town in exchange for 8 days of use, free and clear, to the Ag Society. I don't think they hold title to it. The only thing they hold title to is Diamond C, and that does belong to the Agriculture Society. But no, I believe that belongs to West Gray.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I guess.
That was changed, all right.
I guess we would look for that clarification on anything going forward.
Yeah.
My only problem with it behind the arena, yes, the sewer plant, it runs and it smells, so there's two things against it. I guess there's no park-like setting there. So I don't know, at the top of the hill, how you make a park-like setting with no trees. And there's no,
There's trees
there's no,
there.
and there's
There's
no
trees
grass.
there.
But you are looking out over a park-like area.
Not growing very well.
You're looking out at trees in the river. You're not looking at a factory.
And they have money, maybe money coming from the Trillium. They can plant a bunch of trees around it if they want to. I mean, that's part of what they could do.
Well, no, and I think Councillor Thompson has said that, there are some trees planted on the top of the hill there now.
And they
that are
could plant
growing,
more.
but the other factor is that is a parking lot as well too. Just
Which also
fair.
adds a benefit because you don't have to create a parking lot. It's already there.
And it's nice and flat to sit. I mean, people take chairs to these things, so.
My point is, Mr. Mayor, again, is it's a municipal, will be a municipal facility. I don't think we should be dictated to location by the Service Club. It should at least be a coordinated thing, a cooperative thing, not saying, no, we're not going there, we want this place. Like, we need a little bit more discussion, I think.
Mark.
Again, just in fairness to the people that were here, they have a concern, and it may be that going behind the arena is not an option. It's just that I don't know that, I think the Lions Club probably did look at a lot of these, but I think we just, some of them can probably be dismissed, but that was, it sounds like it was a new one that Councillor Thompson brought up, so let's evaluate that one. It's not new, no.
Go ahead, Rob.
But so,
No, at the time, when we did meet after homecoming, and they asked me to sit on the executive to distribute the money, those were sites that we all looked at, in the block plant up by McGowan Falls, and all these places were looked at. And there's really no other place for it. And then I suggested behind the arena because I didn't want it down beside the seniors' home down there because of the noise and so on. So they haven't come out other than the smell from the sewage plant, but
it certainly addresses the noise issue back there, though, because there's already noise there, and I guess the sound would be going out towards the river.
Yeah.
Ball diamonds, right? So there's no people living there.
it doesn't, I mean, it's been going on for years and years and years,
Yeah.
ball games and everything else, and a lot more in the past years than there is now for ball games, but that's the place for it.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
Well, yeah, and I've thought about this often. The right place to put it, as far as I feel, is in the park, is in the conservation area. But how do we get that done? Over at the middle dam, with the grass and the hill and the washrooms there and all that. But how do you get that done?
Rob?
Without going into a lot of discussion, like for seniors, it's going to be difficult for them to climb the hill and walk up there to get up into the park. People that do walk, and yeah, it's a nice location, yeah, but I don't think it's very fair to the playing hardball.
Councillor Eccles. John?
Did anyone ever approach the Conservation Authority about putting it at the middle dam?
Apparently they said they did. They also approached them about the spot where that little block building is, and they said no there as well. So apparently they said they had approached them, but I don't know. I don't know who they approached, but.
Well, my point is perhaps we as a municipality should be making inquiries of the conservation. We did kind of leave an awful lot up to a service club for a municipal facility, and and there's some very strong opinions on that club as to where it should go. And
The thing was, is they had the money to build it. It's something similar
but
to a
it
private
will be,
corporation.
yes,
I know.
but it becomes a municipal facility. I don't like to interrupt all this discussion, but I made a motion to table, and I don't think there's any discussion on such a motion.
Well, there's nothing to nothing to table.
Nobody,
That's
we
why
didn't, nobody seconded because the discussion started,
Yeah.
but.
Resolution wasn't here, so I couldn't accept that. Your direction was is that we defer it until after we have a discussion, and so I guess if council is looking for that, I would ask, is there a couple of individuals and a couple of staff members that would meet with the Lions group to review all of these land bases, I guess.
Can I suggest Rob, who's chair of the arena board? And I wondered, I know Bev is so busy,
No,
but
no.
I just wondered from the parks if you wanted to be.
No, absolutely
there.
not. No,
Okay.
sorry.
But certainly Rob,
One I haven't heard a no from, the other one is definitely a no. Maybe one. Okay.
And whoever-
Said that he would go on it?
Well, maybe John Eccles, because his conservation tie in there.
He's not there.
Wow.
He's been
Well, you two little green leprechauns down there? All right, Councillor Thompson and Councillor Eccles. I don't think that this will affect the Trillium grant if it can be done quickly. The Lions Club needs this agreement. Knowing some of the aspects, we're entertaining it. I think that the Trillium staff will look at that and say, okay, as long as we got it here before the 1st of May or something of that nature, I think we're okay. The application has been in for the Trillium thing. Carol?
Not sure if that doesn't go to that location, what that will do to their Trillium grant. You were there more recently than I. Would they have the ability to change location, do you think?
I'm thinking, yeah, it's not a major deviation of, it's still going to be on municipal. Will the municipality enter into if it's still on municipal property? If it's in point A or point B, I think that the executive director has that, yep, we're looking towards that. Now, if it goes to the conservation, then you've got to enter into an agreement with conservation, and Trillium is, that's why part of it is out of whack with conservation. Yep, okay. So we don't have anybody that will introduce this for third reading, so it is deferred until we have somebody that will introduce this for third reading. Am I okay with stating that as far as procedure goes, Mr. Clerk? Mr. Deputy Clerk? Okay. And we have Councillor Thompson and Councillor Eccles meeting with the Lions. Carol, were you looking for anybody as far as a staff member to sit on that as well too, or? No, I don't think Steve would be my. Anyways.
I think Ken Council, that's great.
Bev?
Well, since there was a number of concerns that the parks brought up, I think it would be a good idea for Steve, in both capacities, as his volunteer work with the parks and also as the Durham Public Works. I think he'd be very good to sit on there.
Looking for any other comments then? Larry?
Your Worship, through you to the members of council for deliberation, I would encourage that Mr. Gould also sit on that as the lead department for recreation. I think it would be a prudent source that the municipality feels strongly enough that it has a member of its senior management team sit on that committee as well.
Both of them? Okay, so we have the 2 members there on staff, 2 council members, and get in contact to see who we can get from the Lions Club as far as their support. The one thing that I found difficult with the report from the Parks Committee, if I could be just as candid, the committee needed the following answers in writing from the Lions Club, and I mean,
They're in the,
bylaw, you know, I mean, that.
I told them that, and they, yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. Well, I
I'm
think
not
they
sure
had,
that they'd seen the bylaw.
well, they certainly had access to it. It was introduced here at council. It's public. Could they done? Those can be addressed going forward.
Those were questions that were posed to them, unfortunately, because this was kind of a, people see it as a park, another park going in. So Patricia Black, being the chair of the Parks Committee, gets an awful lot of calls about anything to do with anything that's parks. And I think she got a lot of negative calls about it, and so was trying to voice those concerns.
Do we want this back, these guys report back by the first council meeting in April?
Would be best, to be honest.
Yeah, having the report back, put a date on that, if we could in the minutes, that we have a report back at the first council meeting in April. Okay, which is April 7th. Okay, all right. Since I got nobody to introduce that bylaw, we'll go down to bylaw number 22. Which is an agreement between site plan agreement between Wes Gray and Harold Elders and Sandy Elders. Which way do you want this one to go? Do you want to comment on that, Mark?
Yeah, Mr. Elders and Mrs. Elders, for that matter, had entered into a previous site plan agreement with the municipality, and now they have a few buildings that are now either existing or proposed that they have placed on a new site plan, and they wish that to be recognized so that they can get approvals for same. So I would recommend council support this bylaw.
Okay, I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by John Eccles. Be resolved that bylaw number 22, 2014, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 37, 2004, and rescind bylaw number 60, 2005, Harold Elders and Sandra Elders, the Ferns Golf Course, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions or comments on this bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. And number 23 is the bylaw to enter into a collaborative agreement with the municipality and the Elmwood Homecoming. Is there any questions or comments, clarification on this before I introduce the motion? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Bev Cutting and seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that bylaw number 23, 2014, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk to enter into a collaborative agreement between the municipality of West Gray and the 2014 Elmwood Homecoming Committee, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Is there any questions or comments on this? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. That's it for bylaws then, Mark. Yes. All right. It should bring us down then to notice of motions.
New business, actually.
Or, sorry, bylaws and then new business. Was a notice of motion last? And there's been some correspondence back and forth. Councillor Marshall, I don't know whether you've had time to introduce that. Did you still want to introduce this or comment on that? All right. I think it's Don that should be signing it. It's his motion there, so. Way to do it. So under new business, this was a notice of motion put forward by Councillor Marshall on the March 3rd meeting. We have Don B. Marshall, motion is moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by Rob Thompson. Whereas the Municipality of West Grey acknowledges that the province of Ontario needs aggregate to build and maintain infrastructure, and whereas the Municipality of West Grey agrees the province of Ontario in its promotion of better planning practice, e.g. asset management, zoning, and severance applications, etc., that are good for sustainability of the province now and in the future, and whereas the Municipality of West Grey acknowledges that a large percentage of good aggregate is located in the County of Grey and therefore in the Municipality of West Grey, and whereas the Municipality of West Grey acknowledges that the aggregate is a non-renewable resource and that when it leaves the municipality it will probably be gone forever, and whereas the municipality has a large interest on how this resource is extracted and distributed, and whereas the Municipality of West Grey acknowledges that the 6 cents per ton does not even come close to the true cost of losing our non-renewable resource and repairing our infrastructure. And whereas the Municipality of West Grey acknowledges that the private business and landowners are the main beneficiary of our non-renewable resource, therefore be it resolved that the Municipality of West Grey hereby asks the Government of Ontario to call for a review of the Aggregate Act to study the planning and long-term effects on a municipality such as West Grey, and also the true cost to a municipality. And further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Ministry of Natural Resources, all MPPs, and all municipalities for their support. Questions or comments? Don, you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I just think that right now is our chance. First, I'll start with I guess the province had asked a bunch of people to come together, open the Aggregate Act up, and look through it to some points of it, and make recommendations on changes. And so they did that a couple years ago or a year ago and sent the report back into the government, and I guess they've commented on it. And I've read their 38 different recommendations, and the 38 comments back are what I believe is lip service. What they're going to do is they're going to ask basically the stakeholders what they think of the recommendations, and the stakeholders that are the big gravel pit companies are going to lobby the province not to make changes to the Aggregate Act. So I think that this resolution, if it was supported by other municipalities, would kind of back the resolution, back the recommendations that are being put forward. Because if we don't support the recommendations that they're putting forward, and I don't believe that they're strong enough, but at least they're doing something, we're going to be widely covered in applications for gravel pits in the next 5 to 10 years. So that right now we have 4 gravel pits on the corner of Grey Road 12 and 20 and Road 23. Holstein area now has 7 pits within 5 miles. If you have a gravel pit beside you now, your farm will probably be a gravel pit in the next 5 to 10 years. So just proactive to step in front of the train here, slow it down, and saying that just to tell the province that we don't begrudge that we need gravel for infrastructure and that. We just want to see better planning. And I think that goes for everything we do. Like that, I'll throw the wind turbines out there. If they had threw out that there was better planning for that, I don't think there would have been near the uproar. Whatever that planning was, but gravel pits are something that's coming fast and furious, and we're either going to get out in front of it a little bit, or we'll sit back and let the applications come in, and the province has told us thou shall not turn down the gravel pit application. So the Aggregate Act is opened up a bit now, and we have a chance to comment.
Okay, Councillor Cutting.
So where are these recommendations that have gone into the province? Because just these? No. Oh. No, that's what I'm saying. Like I would like to. Okay, because before I would vote on anything like this, I would have to read those recommendations, because I'll tell you, when the provincial government starts taking over things, we end up with things like next year right here, trying to put up wind turbines in areas that they're not wanted in. So I would say that, and the whole process being a fiasco. So I would say that I would have to definitely read what was on that, recommendations, et cetera, because to give more power to the province at this point, when they haven't proved to be, have the ability to, as far as I'm concerned, rightly let those powers sort of go to their heads, I think. We've lost all the power we have over it. I would definitely have to see something in writing to know what was being proposed in the changes to the Act.
Larry, first.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to the members of council. After the last meeting, the mayor and I had a brief discussion, and we both agreed, we'd heard rumblings that there was an investigation underway under the Aggregate Resources Act. And I've made a few calls and followed up with it. There was a standing committee established by the province to review the Ontario Aggregate Resources Act, and that report was submitted along with recommendations from the top 10 aggregate producing municipalities in the province and the aggregate producers themselves, the big aggregate producers. So they were all involved and formed a joint committee, and made a joint submission. It's approximately 126 pages in length, which was delivered to the province last year. From that, on February the 20th of this year, under the penmanship of the Minister of Natural Resources, the Honourable David Orzetti, submitted a report, and that report I shared with Councillor Marshall for him to have a look at, and it lays out the government's action plan on how they're going to implement that. I sent it to Councillor Marshall because I wanted to make sure he knew that was the case. So once they've had the opportunity to review the Aggregate Resources Act, then they've made comment on it. Now it's out for feedback back. As he's indicated, they're looking to form a committee to provide input back on the government's actions. So I can distribute that to the members of council if you wish. The mayor has a copy, the clerk has a copy, and Don has a copy. But I wanted to ensure that they're all on the same playing field before I make a decision on it. So it might be prudent to distribute that and before we make a final decision on this recommendation. So that's the research that was done on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. CEO Larry answered a lot of the questions that I had. I don't think this is not without merit, but Don, I think I'd like to see the recommendations, and I think maybe that would address some of the wordage that you have in the motion. I think it could be, should I say, maybe cleaned up a little bit as far as that goes going forward. But if we have that information, I wouldn't be able to vote in favor of this today. So if we can clean that up and CEO Larry can get that info to us, we can have a look at that. But yeah, there's going to be some changes. We have a couple of very good representatives on OGRA from Grey County, so I know that they've been working on this stuff too, especially Ward McKinley. So I'm not sure if he's one of the board members as far as this goes, or one of the committee, but I know that we're well represented on that, so I'd like to see the recommendations.
Okay, any other comments on this? Sorry, Mark?
Yeah, I think I'm following up on a lot what Deputy Mayor Bell said, is that, Don, I like the idea of what you're doing, but it sounds like there's a process underway. So if we review that, then the verbiage in your motion might be changed, because it's talking about conducting a review, but it sounds like they're already doing it. So maybe it could be worded differently once we get through a review of that, to specifically spell out maybe some of the things that are in there that we want to address specifically. So, I mean, I don't, again, I'm kind of like the Deputy Mayor, I couldn't support it today because I'd like to get more information, but I like the concept. It's just that with what the timing of it, it'd be good to read what they're doing right now.
Got any more, Don?
I guess. Well, I'd like to see I think you're right, you got to read the report for sure, see what the recommendations are, and I didn't know when I wrote this that they had, I knew they had reviewed, they were reviewing the Aggregate Act. I didn't know that they had made comment back on the report. So, yeah, I would, if I could table this, that would be great until maybe the next council meeting. And
Yep. Yep, no, I know. I'll have to have that one attached to it if that's what's going. Take Councillor Marshall's moving to table the motion until further information can be supplied for clarification. No, this will be tabled to a further council meeting. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Mollison seconds the motion to table. And now we do have one of those. It is a motion to table is without debate. So I have a motion moved by Don B. Marshall, and seconded by David Mollison. Be it resolved that the Council of Municipality hereby tables Resolution 8214. Goes with motion to table, goes without debate. All those in favor tabling the motion? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. Any other new business, Mark? Go ahead.
I did receive an email from Deputy Mayor Bell concerning I guess at the time, a draft terms of reference. I'm not sure if it's still draft, for the multi-municipal wind turbine working group. I do have copies of that. Council may want to review. Originally, it was supposed to be, I guess, considered at the March 13th multi-municipal wind meeting, so I'm not sure if a decision's been made on the draft terms of reference, so.
No, that's for everybody's information. If they have comments to make back, we'll take those comments back if they'd like to change anything, but it was agreed on to bring it before council, so those can be looked at and comments sent back.
So I guess the only comment I would have for council, one caution, it does speak to hiring a technical assistant at a rate to be determined, which obviously raises for additional staffing, which raises, again, a budgetary issue, which there's not any more information in terms of what this technical assistant position would entail and at what rate. So I think that would certainly be a question that council would want to have provided to them before making a decision.
That portion of it is on the back under staff resources. I think Mark has highlighted that there. It's pretty vague. That's what he's referring to on that. So ask maybe that the group give a better detail or an idea of what they're looking at there as far as budgeting go.
I think, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think that this person is already in place because this is the person who takes the minutes and she is getting a small salary now. When this first started, secretarial support was being done for free. Yes? There is secretary as well. But the committee.
But the secretary is, like I'm reading the top one there.
Yes.
Saying everything what they're doing.
Okay.
And then we'll appoint a technical assistant at a rate.
And this is terms of, yes, see, it's moved away because it was felt that the lady who originally started with the group, she was doing it for nothing. She was from the Municipality of Elderslie, okay, and doing it verbatim, I guess. But now they did hire a lady, who, I can't remember her name right now.
Teresa Gowan.
Thank you, Teresa, who is getting a small salary, and that is what your $700, some of that goes towards.
Well,
It's the way
I guess if
understand
that's a technical assistant and we've got the idea, can we get what the rate will be?
Okay.
I mean, that's where I get,
The rate is set by the multi-municipal wind turbine committee. But I just want to point out about that, it said that I believe has to come out, that Secretary of Support, including preparation of agendas and minutes, will be provided by Aaron Eldersley. They are not doing that anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can get you how much Teresa's paid now. We can get that.
And I believe, isn't that, there's a financial statement on the front page, under delegated authority, the very last words in that paragraph, any lobbying effort shall have the approval by the majority of the respective councils. But there was a lot of discussion around that, and if you look at the purpose of that committee is not to lobby. It's nowhere is it mentioned. Those are words from the staff of Aaron Eldersley. That did not come from the committee. The staff of Aaron Eldersley have made some suggestions, and that was one of theirs, just so you're aware. I think the general consensus was it doesn't need to be in there because that committee can't lobby. Just as today we had the letter that they wanted to send, and that had to be approved by the councils, but they're not going out lobbying, so since it's not part of the purpose, it doesn't need to be mentioned there. Also, the other staff-driven change, originally the committee was to be governed by the procedural bylaw of the municipality of whomever was chair. And they have changed it to say it will be the procedural bylaw of the municipality of Aaron Eldersley, which is fine, but again, that came from their staff. That changed.
okay.
So, but I guess, John, if anybody has comments or questions, and then they can go back to Teresa.
Absolutely, to the Secretary Teresa, or pass them along and make sure that they get them.
So who, is it the turbine group that's going to approve these terms of reference, or does it have to come back to?
They will come back to the councils.
Yeah.
Look at them and they come back
To the councils? Okay, that sounds good. All right. Okay, we can take a look at these and give any comments that any individual has, either to yourself, Bev, or John. All right? Okay. That's it for new business, Mark? Addendums, notice of motion, or direct motions? No other ones? There's no closed session or matters arising? Question period. At this point in time, we have an opportunity for individuals to ask a question of anything that was on the agenda this evening. No? Okay. Municipal Act notices, Mark? None? Adjournment. Mr. Mollison moves that we adjourn. I'll accept that motion that we stand adjourned until the next one, or call of council. Call of mayor.